Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Saturday, November 25th, 2023, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App, $ ORIONNWSF, or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got WWE Survivor Series 2023 War Games, live reactions, and a watch party. And the main reason I want to watch this today is 2 words: Randy Orton. This should be very, very good. The card doesn't look incredibly stacked, but just the simple fact that we're going to get Randy Orton. And of course, there's a lot of rumors that were speculating that it could possibly be CM Punk, either going back to AEW or going to WWE. And I think that's why they released the Randy Orton name. So that way, because obviously if the War Games is in Chicago, where is CM Punk from? Chicago. So I think that's kind of part of it. But, I wouldn't be shocked to see CM Punk in WWE or AEW in the near future. I mean, it's wrestling, so you never really know. Obviously, there's going to be beef, but since Vince McMahon isn't running it anymore, we already know that, maybe he burnt some of the bridges there in AEW with Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and a few of the others there with Tony Khan. But, even though some people say, hey, this card doesn't look the greatest, but a lot of times when the card doesn't necessarily look the greatest, sometimes it'll do a little bit better than we think. It's sometimes like, Monday night, Thursday night, and Sunday night football. Sometimes we look at it and we say, well, this isn't really the best matchup with the best teams, but sometimes it's an even matchup and it ends up excelling and, giving you good entertainment. And that's what I hope that we end up getting here today. Mr. Williams with a $30 dono earlier today to show some love. I appreciate you. 70 to go to hit the goal. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. $30 dono. 70 to go. And he's very, very busy. I'm not sure if he'll be able to drop in today, but he wanted to show some love with a conversation that we had prior to the stream starting. So that's good, right? We ended up getting a nice dono before the stream starts. We got 70 to go. Hybrid in the building. What's good? Roll Tide, barely. The Huskies beating the Cougs, barely. And it's very, very clear. And I told y'all Michigan was going to beat Ohio State. But to me, it's pretty clear. There's 3 teams in college football that can win the Natty based on what I've seen in the last few weeks. And I think it's Georgia 1, Michigan 2, and my Oregon Ducks 3. I'm not saying that it's an absolute for sure thing that Oregon's going to get past Washington in the Pac-12 championship game. But if you look on the last 2 to 3 weeks, who has looked stronger, Oregon or Washington? Who looks stronger, Michigan or Ohio State? Right? And then obviously we're going to get Georgia and Bama in the SEC championship game. So it'll give a chance for Alabama to ruin and derail Georgia's trip. Same thing with Washington. They're trying to derail the trip, but we know Michigan will beat Iowa. In all honesty, Michigan should be playing Ohio State again. And obviously, it's not the 2 teams that have the best record. They separate it kind of like when the Pac-12 did it, the North and the South. But it should be the 2 teams that have the best record, especially if you have a team that's undefeated and undefeated. It would be right to give Ohio State a chance to get payback. But that's just how the format is at this particular time. And until the Big Ten changes it, then I think Sarah already knows, being an Iowa fan, it's going to get ugly. They might end up losing by 40 or 50, but, Michigan is the real deal. And I picked them to win even with no Harbaugh, on the sidelines, because I knew they were the more physical team. They got the better quarterback, the better running back, J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, the better defense, and it went down to the wire. And a lot of these games, when we get later in the year, are going to go down to the wire. Auburn almost beat Bama. They only needed to hang on for like 30 more seconds, but they couldn't do it. And then Bama got that late touchdown. And then the Huskies and Cougs went back and forth, and it took a last-second field goal just to barely beat the Washington State Cougars. And then shout out to the Oregon State Beavers. I feel really bad. Not only did the Oregon Ducks beat you, and we won the Civil War, then the coach ended up jumping ship to Michigan State. So now you're not going to have your boy there anymore. And now, all those recruits DJU, and all the quarterbacks and running backs and wide receivers that were thinking, well, do I want to go to Oregon State? Now they're transferring because Oregon State doesn't even have a conference at the moment, or schedule, or games, or a coach, or recruits. So you're talking about hitting a fucking rock bottom and getting kicked in the nuts twice. It's bad enough losing to my Ducks in the rivalry game, and now you lose your coach, the only guy that you think that was probably going to give you any type of prominence in the Pac-12 or wherever you moved on to. We are in Chicago, Illinois, WWE Survivor Series War Games. Let's go, baby. And I got it on the WWE, not the app, but I got it on peacocktv.com. You can watch it on your computer, your tablet, or your phone, and it is slightly faster than what it is on the TV that I have here linked up to the Peacock app. So it's not that much of a difference, but if you guys are trying to find something at that, moment that's, on point, on the computer will be about 30 seconds faster than the app on the TV for whatever reason. Let's go, baby. Hybrid in the building. What's good? Finley in the building. What's good? It's time for War Games. Now, Lenny D, you would know what I'm doing, right? If you checked your social media, all you got to do is check Twitter, X, or Instagram, or the YouTube channel, and you'll know I'm doing the WWE pay-per-view, but I know you don't really go on socials that much, but I stream pretty much every day, and you knew I was going to do this. Come on, brother. Let's go. Lenny D in the building. What's good? Odin's son did hit me up, and he says that he wants to be able to hop in and hang out, but he's actually at a friend's house watching a watch party with 5 of his homies. So I told him, just go watch it with the homies. I appreciate, everything that you do. And normally you would be here. Preston also hit me up and is going to Eastern Washington with his wifey to visit family. He wishes he's here. He wanted to make sure to let me to tell you guys what it do. And obviously on the next WWE pay-per-view, hopefully Preston and Odin will not only be on screen with me or in the room for Odin's son since he lives in New York. Let's go. $30, 70 to go. Shout out to Mr. Williams for being a goat. As usual, we love him. We appreciate him. Let's go. Let's go. And that's what I kept telling people. I think he's okay, but he's the worst quarterback, in my opinion, that Ohio State's had in like 10 years. So for you to be able to beat a team like Michigan on the road, you got to play clean. You got to play where you're going to be getting like 3 or 4 touchdown passes, 1 pick or no picks. And again, the only thing that they had that was better was Maserati Marv. That's it. One piece. So if it's only one piece, I can't take that. And Ryan Day is great against the rest of the Big Ten, but not against Michigan, and Michigan wins 3 in a row. Daniel in the building. Let's go. All right, Bianca coming down. Let's go, baby. I don't know. We are in Chicago, Illinois. There's rumors, based off WWE and AEW that there may be a CM Punk appearance at some point, whether it be today or later on this year or next year. We don't really know, but they did announce Randy Orton instead of keeping it secret for CM Punk. So that kind of makes me feel that CM Punk will not show up because they already announced the Randy Orton thing, but maybe that would make it a surprise, right? So they announce Randy Orton. You start to think, well, no CM Punk. It's not going to happen. And then all of a sudden, magically, CM Punk, ends up showing up. But it just seems like CM Punk is kind of a cancer wherever he goes. He has his friends and he has his clique and he has his people that like him and the people that don't like him. And ultimately, it's about money and it's about business and about ratings. But if it's going to cause a cancer in the locker room, right, like it did with AEW, it's almost not worth it, even though he's a big name and he actually wrestled pretty good from that long hiatus that he had. It's not like he was garbage. He actually was above average. I wouldn't say CM Punk was elite when he came back, but I would say that he was above average, and his theme music is still one of the best today. But it is what it is. We will see. We will see. I think Ryan Day doesn't necessarily need to be fired, but Michigan, as of late, they've just gotten better on the defensive side of the ball. With Aiden Hutchinson, the quarterback was better this year, and this overall, the vibe was better. And, Ryan Day is a good coach. I think Ryan Day and Dan Lanning, they might be the 2 best young coaches, and it's hard to beat rivals. You know, for the longest time, Ohio State beat Michigan over and over and over again. And it's not just until recently where Michigan is on a 3-game win streak. So let's go, baby. End of an era in the Pac-12. Let's go. Yeah, keep me updated on any scores. Now, I want to let everyone on the stream that's with me when we're watching this together, what are you guys watching this on? Are you watching it on an app on TV, like the Peacock app on your smart TV, or are you watching on your computer? Because I'm watching both screens at once, but the computer has it 30 seconds faster. So I can always see what's going on, but I don't want to ruin anything based off my commentary if a lot of y'all are watching it on Peacock TV on your smart TV, because the smart TV is about 30 seconds behind. So let me know what you guys are watching it on. Yeah, I'm watching it on Peacock as well, but what are you watching it on? Are you watching Peacock on the computer, Peacock TV on computer, or are you watching Peacock through the app on your TV? So that's what I need to know, what you guys are, because if that's the only thing you can watch it on is Peacock. There is no other option. So it's either you're watching it on the app through your smart TV, that's one option, that's 30 seconds behind, or you're watching it on your computer and it's live. So if you're on the TV, you're 30 seconds behind compared to watching it on what I got. So I'll try to keep my reactions one way or another, or if I end up just turning it off on the on the computer, so that way I don't have any reactions that are going to be spoilers and whatnot, or I might just keep it on there and whatnot. So you're watching it on the TV. Okay. What is everybody else watching it on? Sarah's watching it on the TV, on the Peacock app, I would assume. What about you, Lenny D? What are you watching it on? Are you watching it on your computer through peacocktv.com, or are you watching it through your app on your smart TV? Let's go, baby. You know what it is. Let's go, baby. Yeah, but the thing is that if I'm oohing and awing and going, oh shit, and then all of a sudden you guys are just sitting there waiting for the shit to happen, I don't want to, you know what I mean? We well, like I said, I'm watching it on 2 screens right now because I'm a wrestling fanatic, right? So I got it live through Peacock TV on the internet, obviously through peacocktv.com/watch, and then it's got the event, and then if you watch it through your smart TV, for whatever reason, it's got like a 30-second delay. So you guys are watching Bailey starting to walk into the cage, but she's not there yet. She's about 5 feet away. And on the computer, she's already in the ring. She's already pounding her chest and climbing the cage and screaming at everybody. So then Asuka's dancing right now, and you guys do not see that. Now, Bailey is just about to enter the ropes, right? And on the computer, Bailey is already in the ring. So Rome Odunze could go first round, bro. I've watched every single game that he's played almost in his whole career. Same thing with Troy Franklin. It just depends on how many quarterbacks go in the first round. You know what I mean? But first or second round for Franklin or Rome is very, very possible. Yeah, you got Maserati Marv, and there'll be a couple other receivers. But, I mean, if you're looking at the Pac-12 with Troy Franklin and Rome Odunze, and obviously Rome, is great, but the Huskies haven't really played that great in the last couple weeks. If you go back and look at the footage of what he did earlier in the year, and they didn't have another NFL receiver in Jalen McMillan for about a month. So, all right, here we go. Now I got to decide on what I want to do. Maybe I'll just cover up the computer here, and then I'll just watch it on the TV. So what are you watching it on, Lenny? What are you watching it on? Are you watching it on the TV? Hybrid, are you watching it on the TV or on the computer? So I'll close one of them off because I don't want to, because when I'm watching 2 things on 2 screens and I'm 30 seconds ahead of everyone else, that, it's going to fuck up my reactions and whatnot. So I'm thinking I might just turn it off on the computer, and that way we can just watch it on our smart TVs together. I think that's what I'm going to do. Because otherwise, I'm going to be just way ahead of you guys, and you guys are not going to understand why I'm oohing and awing and screaming and shit. So I just turned it off. Now I just got it on the TV, which you guys can hear in the background. Volume 80. Hopefully my speakers don't blow out. All right, come on, Becky. Show me something here. We got Becky and Bayley in the ring. I love Survivor Series. The cages, the vibe. I mean, you can have gimmick matches and whatnot, but I mean, anytime you got a cage, it's going to be awesome. Back in the WWF days and the WCW days, really good memories as a little kid watching. Anything that has weapons or a cage, it just takes the event to another level. So I turned off the computer, stream, through Peacock TV, and I'm just watching it with you guys on the TV now. So I think we're good. Becky into the ropes, a little clothesline. There we go. And I appreciate everyone helping out and sharing and liking it on Twitter X, Cyberpunk, as well as Sarah. Thank you so much. Oh, right into the cage. There we go, Bayley. And how quick before Bayley gets turned on by Damage Control? Obviously, they can have her a part of the group. They can jump her and kick her out of the group. I mean, it's like you already know with factions that, it's just like with Edge and, when he was there, with Judgment Day, it's just a matter of time where you have new members come in, old members get thrown out or replaced. It'll be interesting to see where they go. And then obviously if Bayley gets kicked out of the group, then she can have a one-on-one match, obviously, with the person that kicked her out, and that could lead to another feud onto another, Raw, SmackDown, or pay-per-view. So we'll be able to see how it all plays out. But I do like the two factions in WWE. I love Judgment Day. I love the vibe. And I actually do like Damage Control. I liked him even before Asuka joined. I like, just being able to have Io Sky and Dakota Kai, because obviously they're just floating around in kind of nothingness if they're by themselves. But if you end up grouping them all together, and then even if they have single matches, being part of a faction is a cool thing. I don't care what anyone says. Vince might have hated factions, but I fucking love them. And it's not like the faction has to last forever. You can always modify it, add new members, kick people out, start a feud. And that's why I like the faction, because it always will open up storylines naturally if there's a feud within the faction. Big facts. Bayley into the cage. Matt in the building. What's good? Because the Lions defense is not good. I mean, like I said, I got Montgomery, Amon-Ra, and Sam Laporta in fantasy, and I was considering maybe adding the Lions, defense a couple weeks ago to my, championship roster in fantasy. But then when I started seeing what happened, not just the Ravens game where they got obliterated in Baltimore, but it's like their starting corners are out. So unless you dig deep on the depth chart or you actually know football, instead of just looking at the Lions and assuming that they should have won that game. But if you look at the defense in fantasy and you see how many points or lack of points that they've been scoring in the last month, I was surprised, that they lost. But obviously with the defense, if you can't stop the run or the pass, that's how you get exposed. And then you make, you make Jordan Love look like he's a fucking all-pro quarterback, which we know he's not. That was probably his best game of the year, and it just so happens it was in Detroit, after they released Bye Bye Barry, the Barry Sanders, documentary on Prime. But if you don't got a defense, you're going to get rocked. And that's exactly what happened. Let's go, Shotzi. Let's get those likes up. Yeah, you got to understand, you think about me, Finley, being older, watching the NBA and watching wrestling, it's never going to go back to what it was. So like, if I'm going to like compare, watching the birth of wrestling, and the birth of like when things were really, really good compared to what it is now, most of the matches on WWE, AEW, NJPW, ROH, Impact are nowhere near what things were in the 80s and 90s. It's just true. I mean, you're not getting the same excitement where everyone's got a sign in the crowd. There is no Rock and Stone Cold. There is no DX. There is no NWO. it was just a different time. Or even going back to the 80s with like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior and the Legion of Doom. Like it was just different, and you can still enjoy it for what it is, but you got to kind of appreciate what it is now. Yeah, I mean, is it as good as it used to be? No. Would it be cool if they ended up going back with the SmackDown and Raw type thing, like with the format? But you got to understand what they're trying to cater to. With Vince, WWE was in his own vision. He didn't give no fucks about the fans or the kids. That's why he was having guys like Seth Rollins go against Omos and thinking that would actually be a good match. Of course it wouldn't. An athletic guy versus a big guy that sucks, so it is what it is. But at least now with the sale, yeah, nice job, Shotzi. Big elbow to the back. At least now with Triple H and Stephanie and Endeavor, it seems like they're getting back to trying to appreciate the fans and knowing what the fans want. And a lot of times, the fans aren't stupid. We know athletic wrestlers should go against athletic wrestlers, tall guys against tall guys. You got to be able to find that chemistry and that match, not one of the best in the company, Seth Rollins versus Omos. No one can literally say that they're looking forward to watching a match like that. And that's what Vince put us through, for like 3-4 years. So, and he didn't like factions either. So I think we're in a better spot than what we were. Big facts. I don't know who's in your league, Finley, but you must be playing with a bunch of dum-dums if fucking Kyler Murray is still available. Any league that actually has people that know what they're doing, Kyler would have already been scooped up weeks ago. So I don't know who's playing in your league, but congratulations getting Kyler. But Kyler should have already been picked up 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. So I don't know who's in your league, if you got good players or players that are, oblivious. But yeah, Kyler is almost back 100%. He can run, he can throw. He's not at the point where he's throwing for 3 touchdown passes and getting 1 run on the ground, but you might be able to get 1 or 2 in the air. And if you're lucky, maybe 1 on the ground, but not every game. I had Kyler, I picked him up early, and I almost wish I would have kept 4 quarterbacks because I can't trust Patrick Mahomes. And if I'm going to win the championship, I'm going to win with Sam Howell and Joshua Dobbs. So I almost, it would have been crazy for me to drop Mahomes for Kyler Murray, but I mean, Mahomes is not playing very well. So it is what it is. And now they have more injuries. McCole Hardman is out for the year. Kadarius Toney is hurt. They already have the team that has the most drops. I am very concerned for the Kansas City Chiefs and that wide receiving core. Big facts. Big meaty man versus big meaty man. Like, if we're going to do something like that, then give me like Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, or Drew McIntyre versus Gunther, something where it's a big guy and a big guy, but they're athletic and it's fun, where both guys are going to beat the shit out of each other. They're going to punch, they're going to slap, they're going to chop, chests are going to get red and bleed, but they're athletic and they're going to put on a good show, right? That's what good wrestling is. But for whatever reason, some people think that certain matchups are going to be good. And for a lot of us that are, I don't know if we want to call ourselves wrestling pundits or wrestling experts, but we know what's going to be a good match just based on looking at who's fighting each other. Like, who's got athletic ability, who's good on the mic, who's not, you know what I mean? What type of gimmick match might overachieve and do a little bit better, than others. And not everyone is on the same athletic page. It's just like with wrestlers. Just because you're a wrestler does not guarantee that you are going to be great on the microphone. Very, very little men and women that are wrestlers are great on the mic. And that's what separates the good from the elite wrestlers in WWE, AEW. Let's go! Double drop kick, baby. Let's go, EO. Well, Gunther will have his time. He's just trying to be able to get the longest run on the IC, like Roman with the longest run with the world, right? Universal. And then eventually we will be able to see him pass the torch and someone will beat him. And then he will go for the, world championship at some point. I 100% agree. It's just a matter of time. David in the building. What's good? How are you, bro? Odin son with another dono for me today. Thank you so much, brother. Odin son is watching a watch party with his 5 homies. $24 dono, baby. Well, we got 2 donos. That's better than yesterday, with doing the Ducks and the Beavers. And maybe with a couple more people, we might actually be able to hit the goal. Bang, 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 boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang, $24 dono. It's always good to feel appreciated for all the hard work that gets put in. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Let's go. Let's go, baby. And I had to hit you with the Cody Rhodes. There's plenty of other options with like a bunch of wrestlers, 4 wrestlers or 5 wrestlers on this side, 4 or 5 on the other side. But I was like, no. I got to use Cody Rhodes, baby. Let's go. Thank you so much, Odin. Damage control doing a nice job now. Understanding. Every dollar counts, that way I can actually take care of Paisley and live. It's not like I buy anything for myself. It's not like I'm a greedy person, just want to be able to get what I feel that what I'm really worth, with all the hard work and the grind. And then that way I can actually take care of Paisley, if that means getting her, food, getting her a toy, getting her something, or trying to be able to give back. But I got to be able to take care of me first, especially with bills, right? All right, Bianca coming down to the ring. Let's go. 2 more likes to 10, and then once we hit that, depending on how many more people we get, let's shoot for 20, but let's try to get to 10 first. Wow. Let's go, Bianca. I've been saying that hybrid for a long, long time. I always keep it 100, but as of all the teams, that even though FSU is, undefeated, but also remember they lost their quarterback, right? But even if they didn't lose their quarterback in a shitty division like the ACC this year, I think that almost anybody in the top 8 or almost top 10 would probably be able to compete or beat FSU, right? Georgia would, right? Michigan would, Washington probably would, Oregon would, Ohio State would, Texas would, Bama would. I mean, I think that you could probably go down the list. I would agree that almost every team in the top 8 or top 10 would either be very, very close, or if we go to like the top 6 or top 8, they probably would whoop them. I mean, at least it just seems that way. But now with the quarterback being out, we can never say for sure, but we'll see what happens with Florida State. But obviously, if they have a backup quarterback, I mean, they're probably not going to win their bowl game. Let's go. I love when we do these WWE watch party pay-per-views. I mean, I wish that AEW wasn't so expensive. Oh, what a back flick by Bianca. That was sweet. Oh, look, let me see this. Oh, baby, double suplex. Oh, baby. Are you fucking kidding? Come on, Shotzi. You fucking kidding me with the fucking double? And she's like, let me roll into position here. Bailey's like, let me roll into position for me to take the leg drop on my neck. That's always funny when they're too far back. They're like, come closer. Like, oh, shit, I'm too far. There we go. Bianca with the double suplex. Let's go. Well, yeah, it's Florida, bro. We already know how it goes. Florida State. We already know how that goes, bro. Come on now. Especially in the 90s when they had Warwick Dunn, Charlie Ward, But for me, being a Tampa fan, I don't have as much. Kyrie saying, skipping, baby. I don't have as much hate because obviously I'm not, primarily a Florida fan like you. So I get it. But since, I'm a Tampa fan for the Bucks, I mean, I got plenty of guys from the U, Florida State, and Florida. So it's like, for me, it's like, there's a lot of good talent that's in the state of Florida. But when it comes to rivalries, I totally get it. Kyrie. And it's cool too. I was reading some stuff about her when she was in Japan and when she was coming in, how she would be wearing kind of like the sailor outfit. And they're like, what kind of gimmick is that? Like wearing this, but that's actually what she did in Japan. They actually had like a sailing team and she was actually really fucking good and was considering trying to go pro, in that type of field, even though, I'm not sure how much money is involved in that. I mean, I guess if you win, attorney, I mean, there's probably some good money and notoriety and sponsorships, but that is part of her gimmick. That was actually something that she did in Japan, which I thought was pretty cool. Oh, what a forearm to Bianca. Of course, heels are the best. You already know that is. Good energy so far with this opening match. Let's go. That forearm was nice. I just like it, when we get this, Asian representation finally. Still, Shinsuke Nakamura still hasn't really been able to, probably get the love that maybe he deserved and whatnot, but at least you're getting to see the females. Oh, baby. What an elbow drop. One. Let's go, baby. Throw her above. Look at this elbow drop. Bang, baby. Probably hurt herself more on those chairs, but, you got to sell it, right? You got to sell the moves. But, I mean, I'll tell you what, if Vince McMahon was still around, there's no way that you're going to be getting what we're seeing now. Like, God bless, Vince, selling and stepping back and us being able to actually get people that are running the company that we believe in. You know what I mean? And a lot of us are so hardcore wrestling fans that we're going to watch no matter what. But let's be honest, during COVID, it was some of the worst, wrestling, obviously matches that were booked that I've ever seen. So, I mean, hell, I boycotted Raw, SmackDown, NXT for a couple years. I just couldn't sit through a 3-hour program with one good match and maybe for 12 minutes. I mean, that was just not worth my time. So now, I mean, I can definitely watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, even though NXT is a little harder for me to get involved and get invested in. But it's much, much better overall as a wrestling product as a whole for AEW, WWE, Impact, NJPW, and ROH at this point. I love it too, man. I like being able to see wrestlers that are normally considered lower or mid card get a little shine. It can't just be the same people over and over and over again. And you got to be able to see people step up and make a name for themselves. It's not always going to be Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair. At some point, you're going to have some other females step up. And speaking of Charlotte Flair, let's go. Oh, all right, Charlotte. Oh, yeah. Fall away slam. Razor Ramon. Let's go. Kairi Sane didn't even want to take the chops. She said, no, my chest hurts too much. She's like, I'll just fall backwards. I am not taking another chop. Charlotte's like, yes, you are. Charlotte looks like Andre the Giant compared to Kairi Sane. She said, you're going to take one chop, 2 chops, and then she's like, no, I'll just fall backwards. No more. No more. No more chops. Oh. She got caught, baby. Yeah, baby. Ooh. Over the ropes. Good thing that was executed good. That could have been a disaster. I know. Trust me, bro. I read everything. I mean, I'm usually reading, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. Every hour, I'm always on Twitter, X, all the websites. All I do is read and watch film, honestly. And then I exercise with Paisley. But besides that moment where I'm not on my phone, I'm consistently on my phone, probably, or the internet and reading 10 to 12 hours a day. But normally it's about 4 to 6. But every hour I'm on it. But again, yeah. Karl Malone, obviously after his playing days were over, nice, Charlotte. Obviously a lot of stuff came out, and we'll have to see with more information, because depending on what state you're in and what country you're in, the legal age to be able to like hook up and do things is different. It's not going to be like 18 and over everywhere, but still, it's a very suspect thing. And then we'll see what the NBA decides to investigate. So, and the sad thing is I actually like Josh Giddey, the player, but Josh Giddey, the man, I gotta be able to get all the facts to come out before I, crucify him and say, oh, this guy is a, predator and this and that. Obviously it takes two people to do what they do. But a little alarming, with Wander Franco and Giddey and all these guys. It's like you're a professional athlete, and I know yet you're, even if you're young, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, but it's like if you're a professional, why are you hanging around people that are like 16 or 17? Or even if this was like last year and you were 20 and she was 16 or 17. I mean, it's one thing if you're in high school and you're like someone's a freshman and someone's a senior and one person's 14 and another person is like 16 or 17, then that's a little different, you know what I mean? But it's like if you're in like college or like out of college and you're hanging out like with high school people, that's a little sus, man. Very sus. Not just a little sus, but very. Oh, look at this. I gotta turn the fan on. Your boy's getting excited. Getting hot in here. On the top of the cage with the chain and the garbage can, baby. Just don't lose your balance. What's she doing here? She's trying to Oscar the Grouch somebody? Are we getting a top of the cage Oscar the Grouch? What are we getting here? She about to Sesame Street someone's ass. Let's go. Io, is she going to put the garbage can on herself? She's straight Oscar the Grouching herself. Oh, I hope that she falls properly. Oh, baby. Let's go. And that garbage can is fucking thin as hell. That ain't a real garbage can. But, they're like, okay, make sure you dive correctly. We'll catch you. There we go. That's the first one right there. Hell yeah. If you want to talk about gifted, yeah, Io is gifted, but the best Asian wrestler arguably of all time, you're looking at her walking down to the ring, and her name is Asuka, okay? And you can go against the men or the women, and by the time it's all said and done, I better see a long reign out of her before her retirement. Like, you better give me a 6-month or 1-year run as the women's champ. You know what I mean? Like, I need to see that. You know what I mean? I need to make sure that they're going to be able to understand, the talent level that she has. Always is like playing second fiddle, third fiddle, fourth fiddle. And I get it when you got girls like Bianca and Charlotte Flair that have a look. You know what I mean? They might be more sexy. You know what I mean? They might be more high flying. But as far as like strong style and doing moves that aren't off the top rope, there's nobody better than Asuka in the business as far as females. The only thing that Bianca and Charlotte have on her is that they do high-flying stuff off the top rope. If Asuka did high-flying stuff exactly like them, she probably would be even just as good, or as far as like the pecking order and popularity, or maybe even higher. I mean, imagine if Asuka's doing 450s or doing fucking splashes or doing backflips off the rope, Absolutely, man. And that's not me just with an Asian bias. It's just, I mean, you have to watch all the federations. You have to watch everyone. Doesn't matter if it's black, white, Mexican, Asian. Everyone knows I like Lucha Libre style wrestling the best. Up-tempo, fast. I like fast, up-tempo wrestling. And there's nothing wrong with big, like, heavyweights and whatnot. But again, there's definitely a certain skill set that Asuka has that these ladies will never, ever be able to acquire. Even ladies, like Io Sky and then some of the other Asian wrestlers, they're cool. Io's got the high flying, but as far as her skill set, she's not even close to what Asuka can do as far as a technical wrestler and her strong style type of moves that she does in the ring. She is so underrated. And she got a glimmer of a little bit of a belt, but it wasn't long enough, and they took it away from her, Let's go. Yes. Oh, that was sweet. I mean, like, Kairi Sane, like, if we're going to be like honest, like Kairi Sane, like on a scale of 1 to 10 is like, 7.5. right? Io Sky, based off her high flying ability and excitement, is more of an 8, 8.5. But Asuka's a 10. Like, when's Asuka ever had a bad match? Never. She never had a bad match. You know what I mean? It's always good. It's like Bianca, always good, right? Charlotte Flair, always good. You can't say that about every wrestler, let alone every female wrestler. And there's guys that fuck up all the time too, you know. But oh baby. Oh yeah, the miss, baby. So we got Charlotte, we got Bianca, you know, for that style. We got Asuka. Yeah, let's go. Nice drop kick. And then we also got Ripley too. So it's like you know, you got two ladies that look like fitness models, and then you got one that's, you know, with the face paint, you know, with the Asian sensation style, and then you got one that's kind of emo and goth. And I fucking love it, man. It's nice to be able to have not a bunch of Mandy Roses running around. And yeah, I mean, you can be pretty, but that doesn't mean you're good in the ring. You know what I mean? Or good on the mic. You know, it's like, I get it. You know, sex sells, and you got to be able to have a look and an image. But when it comes to wrestling fans, some are going to be watching the women just to watch women. But a lot of us have been watching wrestling since the 80s, and we want to be entertained and give credit where credit's due, where some of these women are better wrestlers than the men. Big facts. I mean, some people don't want to admit it, but it's true. You know, Asuka is much better than most of the men on the roster. You know, and some people may not agree, but then that tells me that you're not watching enough wrestling matches, you know. And there's some that are just, you know, like Becky Lynch, you know, she's kind of robotic. You know, is she a really good wrestler? No. You know what I mean? She was kind of the underdog story, Becky Two Belts. But if you're like looking at her skill set in the ring, she's actually probably one of the worst females that's in the ring. She's popular. She's with Seth, right? She got 0 question right on Jeopardy. I don't think she's a dummy. You know what I mean? But, you know, there's just certain people that, you know, they have a look, you know, and they're going to give them their run. You know what I mean? But as far as like skills in the ring or on the mic, I don't know. I feel that like Becky's a little overrated. You know what I mean? She kind of had her moment, and now she's kind of fading back. And there's going to be, you know, room for these other females to take her spot and go a little bit further, which I think they should. You know, she's still a name, you know what I mean? But again, she definitely isn't one of the best females. I mean, I would rather watch Io or Asuka than any Becky match, or Bianca or Charlotte. I mean, Becky is so low on the wrestling, you know, chart for me. Like, do I enjoy when she's out there? Yeah, but she's definitely at the lower tier. I mean, I'd probably watch Liv Morgan over her too. I think Liv is probably better than Becky too. Like, you know, some people are just kind of robotic out there. Yeah, baby, let's go, Charlotte. Let's go. See, if Asuka could do shit like this, then that would put her right there with Bianca. Let's go. Yeah. One. Her foot ended up kicking girl in the face right here. Look at the replay. Look at the replay. Look at her right foot. Oh. Io got hit pretty hard there. Yeah, because they think she's sexy and whatnot, and if she's gonna do like an OnlyFans thing and, you know, do videos and pictures of her body and make money, you know what I mean? Like, you know, let's be honest. There's a lot of weirdos and pervy dudes and pervy people that watch wrestling. Not every you know, a fan of wrestling is a normal person. There's some fucking weirdos that watch wrestling. Hell, go to a fucking wrestling event, okay? You know, go to a wrestling event and look around. There's going to be, you know, people that are crazy, and there's going to be people that are normal. There's going to be people that look like they just came out of their basement for the first time in 60 days. Okay. I mean, I go to wrestling events all the time, and it's not the same football crowd like football or basketball or baseball. You know, there's some, you know, normal people that are just hardcore fans, and there's some fucking weirdos. Okay. And it's not like Mandy Rose is great on the mic or a great wrestler. It's her look, because she looks like a Playboy playmate. Let's be honest. You know, that's why a lot of the guys were going to defend her or watch her, because she looks like a Playboy playmate. It's truth. Everything that she does, turn on the pay-per-view and watch with us. Peacock, brother. Oh, I mean, she's not as robotic as like Ronda Rousey, but when you watch her like walk around and in the ring, some ladies are smooth and some guys are smooth in the ring. The way they move, they make it look effortless, right? And other people, it's like they're kind of stomping around, you know what I mean? And it just doesn't look smooth. It's like they're thinking in their head of what move they need to do next, and just instead of it like naturally coming, Like certain people, it's just it's kind of like in their DNA, and it's just who they are, it's like in basketball players, guys on the court, you know what I mean, or football players. There's certain wide receivers that look smoother, that make it look effortless out there than others, right? When you see Jay Jetta play, it looks effortless, right? But if you compare it to other receivers, it's not the same, And I don't think Becky's horrible, but again, she definitely isn't one of, based off popularity, she's one of the top names, but is she one of the top wrestlers? Hell no. She's actually, to me, probably one of the worst. I'm still going to watch her and still enjoy it, but I think there's a lot of ladies that are better than her. She ain't Seth Rollins, if that's what we're talking. Seth Rollins is like arguably one of the best. Becky is mid, Oh, yeah. Yeah, this match is definitely a 9.5. You could argue it's a 10 because we already know how many matches we've seen that haven't been good. Just the fact that it's a cage and it's got weapons and it's, 5-on-5? You could say it's a 10. And we got some high-risk moves off the top. You got the garbage can, with Io Sky. You got the backflip from Charlotte, Woo! Spear, Goldberg, Rhino. Oh, that was pretty stiff. Oh, baby, that was sick. Oh, that was nice. Bianca is special. Let me tell you. Like, is Becky the right one to be on the top? So Becky can't even pick up Bayley. 1, 2. That's a 10. That's a 10, man. Because you already know, man, anything that we want to call a 9 and a 9.5, we'd have to really compare it to what we're going to be able to get. One of these matches tonight is going to be like a 5 or a 6, and you're going to be like, oh, you know what? We can say it's a 9 or a 9.5 now. That was a 10. That was a great way to start the pay-per-view with the females, and I'm actually glad they started with the females rather than the men. What a way to be able to get that going. There we go, baby. Nice job. It gave you everything that you would want. Weapons, high risk, double team moves, triple team moves. There we go. I know. I saw that with the Achilles, when you can see it pop, when they end up, putting some weight and they're about to go, rush the quarterback, and you can see it like in their sock, like a piece of air that explodes in the sock or, in that area when that Achilles pops, and you already know instantly that the season is over. They need to go turf, to grass on every field in the NFL. But again, they're so cheap that they don't want to spend like the $1 million to $5 million to do it. But at some point, I would hope that they, would improve all the stadiums, because if you're paying the players, right, why are you paying the players millions of dollars and you're making all this profit just to watch your superstars and superstars from other teams have their season end prematurely? Like, if they're going to get injured, they're going to get injured, but at least don't have it be on turf. It should be grass in every stadium. It should be mandatory. That's what I would do if I was running it. If I was Goodell, I'd just be like, listen, everyone is getting hurt way too much. And if you want to bitch and complain, look at, it's like the Jets. It's not only players from other teams, but it's like your quarterback. The guy that you thought was going to get you to the AFC Championship game or a Super Bowl chance got hurt in the first game. I mean, if that's not of a reason more to be able to upgrade from turf to grass just so you can make a few extra $1 million, you know, but you would be making more profit back if you had Aaron Rodgers all year rather than having booty-ass quarterbacks that you have now. And their defense is good. That's the sad part. Breece Hall is a good player. Garrett Wilson probably would have been a top 10, top 5 receiver this year with Rodgers. So, I mean, they probably would have been a top 4, top 5 team in the AFC this year. Yeah, I just hate injuries, man. It's terrible. ACLs, MCLs, PCLs, and I picked up Dolphins defense. I got Dolphins and Jets defense. So it's like I didn't like seeing Daniels go down with the injury because I'm going to have to flip-flop between both of those defenses to probably win the championship. So plug the Ruffles. Tozawa. It's my boy, my cousin. So who do these two guys remind you of? Who do they remind you of? Fandango. And Tyler Breeze. R-Truth, my boy. He never ages. What's up? R-Truth can be like 20 or like 70, and he never ages. He still looks the same. Where's the Tyler Breeze at? Where's Fandango at? They're good. We all just get along. Come together. And watch Tozawa. Ruffle shuffle, Tozawa. Tell him, Tozawa. It's my boy, dude. Fucking Tozawa, man. It's cool to see Tozawa, you know, they kind of use him like Funaki, number one SmackDown announcer, where they kind of, you know, make fun of him, but then also it gives him airtime. So I actually like that they're actually giving Tozawa like some airtime. You know, it's like if you're going to be a jobber wrestler, mid-card, low-card, have fun with it. Find ways to get other guys involved, and whether them being funny, you know, in skits with the other wrestlers. But I like the push that they've been able to give Tozawa on screen. I mean, it's not like he's going to be main eventing anything, so at least let him get out there and be funny and have fun with it. So, yeah, who doesn't love R-Truth, bro? R-Truth always entertaining. No, not yet. Not yet. We haven't had that match yet. We just got done with the first match. First match was not the men's, but the women's, and this was definitely a 10 out of 10. Fantastic. So still got a few more matches to go. We got this one with the men's, and then you'll get your Ripley and Zoe Stark, which Zoe Stark will not win. And you got Gunther and Miz, and then you got Dragon Lee and Santos Escobar. And that one, you would assume it will be Santos Escobar, but, you know, whatever way that they want to go about it, since Dragon Lee's the fill-in. So, I mean, that's kind of the route that I'm thinking, just like looking at the card. You know, Santos Escobar, Gunther, Mommy, and then we'll go here. Tozawa, Jimmy Wang Yang, yeah. But even Jimmy Wang Yang wasn't getting as much airtime as Tozawa lately in the last month. You know what I mean? Like when he had something, it was like maybe a one-off thing. You know, with like Tozawa, he's like he's part of the group. You know, and whenever they have the others like Otis on screen, he's with them. So it seems like they're, you know, it's just being able to get more wrestlers involved on screen time, regardless of what it is. You know, you just got to make the most of your moment, whatever it is. because some guys are not getting any airtime. So, yeah, you missed our truth. You can go back and watch the replay, though. It wasn't that long of a little segment. I mean, it was like, what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? Sami Zayn, baby. Black Sabbath, baby, Ozzy. That's one thing that I missed, that I wish that I was able to see him live, before the whole COVID thing happened. I mean, I had like VIP floor seats, you know what I mean? Like even though he's old, this was still a few years back. I mean, it would have been crazy to be able to meet Ozzy. And not only did we have tickets, then, he ended up getting sick, and then there was like COVID stuff. And then they rescheduled it for the following year. And then we finally got refunded. But that is one thing that I wish that I was able to see. Now, obviously, if I was able to see Ozzy in like the 80s or 90s, that would have been the most epic time to see him and whatnot. But hell, I would have still enjoyed seeing Ozzy at any point from 2000 to 2018. So Gunther is Miz is next. Yeet.
Come back every week for new episodes on Patrol Live. I love you guys.
So far, the PPV Survivor Series War Games has been electric, baby. I'm happy too. We want to make sure that it is, especially if wrestling fans, we only get this once a month, so you want to make sure you're putting out the best, that you possibly can on every match. And I am really, really enjoying the post Vince McMahon era, I mean, it's like you don't have to cater to the adults, that are buying, the wrestling figures and the belts and, all the merch like me and a lot of the older people, or you don't have to cater to the little kids that are buying the wrestling figures and the rings, but there's, certain types of people that, are supporting, these wrestling brands. And at some point, you want to make sure that you're putting out the best possible matchups, not only for your brand, but then also for the fans. No one wants to see, booty matchups like I was mentioning earlier, like Seth Rollins versus Omos. Like who in their right goddamn mind would think that would be a good match? There would be nothing good that would come out of that match. This guy looks like me with the backpack. He's got all the wrestling figures. Oh, I got all kinds of wrestling figures. I got a Brock Lesnar elite figure that's like 15 years old, mint condition over there on the dresser. And I got a bunch of old ones here. DDP, from the WCW days. I got all kinds of good stuff. Sometimes I wish I could open up some of my old rings and cage accessories and just fuck around with it, but I don't want to ruin the value, of what I got. But there's a lot that I got that is like in the package. So I'm like, but I'm lucky enough I have, and I've collected, I think I have about 20 to 30 that are loose from the 80s to current and whatnot. So like on my windowsill, I got the Bushwhackers from when I was a kid, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Big Boss Man, and Ultimate Warrior. And those are all from like 89, 90. So that's always cool. And then a Piper. And what else do I have? Jimmy Snuka. And then, Stone Cold and Rock, figures when they first came out. So I got a couple of those, vintage ones. It's just crazy to see like how the figures used to be and then what there are, now. And obviously elite figures are amazing. And obviously they have those on like the AEW side too. And then you get the ones that have like the multiple heads, the multiple belts, the multiple hands, for different poses and whatnot. Very cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see Randy Orton. That's going to be sweet. I mean, the only thing that's going to surprise everyone is if Randy Orton comes out and then all of a sudden CM Punk comes out. But I don't think we need to have CM Punk come out. And honestly, I don't really know how that relationship is going to be with any company because if you couldn't make things right in AEW, like you got a second chance. WWE was like, fuck you, after the way that you handled things. Then AEW was like, I'll take advantage of your popularity. But then he ended up being a cancer in the locker room and fucked everything up again. So, I mean, how many chances are we going to give CM Punk? I mean, I honestly, even if you're a big fan of him, it's like, I'm not really sure that he deserves to be in wrestling, Like, I get it. Everyone is opinionated, but you can't just act like you own the company, and do whatever the hell you want, say whatever the hell you want. I mean, and it can be a gimmick, but when you're causing problems with like pretty much everyone, besides maybe one or two people, that's a problem, regardless of how talented you are. The Miz. Oh, yeah, Miz is sweet. One of the most underrated superstars of all time. You got to understand, the guy started on Real World Road Rules on MTV when they actually showed music videos, and just had a couple shows, that were, like that type of style, like reality TV. And then for him to be able to make it, and not only make it, but to actually, get in the business for more than 6 months to a year, win belts, and actually be one of the best talkers in this generation. And he's a good wrestler too. I mean, Miz will definitely be in the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, that is wild to think, like a regular guy that just loved wrestling, and then he transformed and dedicated himself to this craft and made it, and took it to the highest possible level that he could get. Beautiful wife, beautiful kids, Miz and Mrs., a TV show. He's got charisma. He's good on the mic. He's good in the ring. But he ain't Gunther, though. Yeah, and Miz is someone like Chris Jericho, where if they want to, they could end up being on the microphone, and they could end up being an announcer. Like I said, down the road, if that's, like Miz would be incredible. Jericho would be incredible too. If Jericho ended up retiring and just being on the mic, with Shivani, they would be so good together. And same thing with Miz. Miz would be incredible on the microphone. But again, it all depends on how much they're going to pay him and if he wants to spend time with his wifey and the family and whatnot. But I mean, at some point or another, there's certain people that are underrated as talkers. And I've always thought Jericho and Miz have always been top 10 talkers of all time. Yeah, you got Rock and you got Stone Cold and MJF. And there's certain guys that are going to be better than others. But for guys that Jericho is probably the biggest superstar and legend that doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Chris Jericho should be up there with like the Shawn Michaels and the Bret Harts and the Hogans, and all the big names, but he won't be. He's always like one peg lower, which is kind of bullshit because he's been in like every federation and he's been successful everywhere he's been. And he's been good in the ring and obviously good on the mic, but now he's getting a little flabby and getting a little old. But I always got a lot of love for Y2J. And The Miz is always going to be considered mid-card. No one will ever consider him a superstar. But when you end up going through his career and seeing all his takes and his promos and what he is and what he transformed himself to be, he's like Dolph Ziggler. I feel like The Miz and Dolph Ziggler were like the most underrated, underutilized pieces in wrestling. And now Dolph hopefully will go into AEW after the 90-day competition clause runs out in WWE. And we obviously know Miz is not going to win this, but he's entertaining. You know what I mean? And he's good at selling moves like Dolph. And that's another part of it too. Can you do moves? Are you good in the ring? He's a lefty, which is kind of unique. Not very many wrestlers are lefties. Miz is one of the very few. And also selling moves. I think Dolph Ziggler might be one of the best, but Miz is very good at selling moves as well. And that's another kind of untalked about, one of those things that gets overlooked a lot, is how well do you sell the moves of the other guy? Big facts. Yeah, and it don't matter either heel or face, Miz or Ziggler can do the role, but they're much better when they're both heels, just like any wrestler in the business. Yes, I agree. And like I said, if you really watch wrestling and you're not just, Roman Reigns, and you're just like caught up with whatever, they're pushing down your throat based off popularity and ratings and trying to make money, and you can make your own, evaluation on wrestlers. But yeah. And it's cool that they both got a chance, to be a champion, whether it be on the IC or the world belt, but it's like, I feel with like Ziggler and Sheamus, those were the two most disrespected based off their talent level. They should have worked both of those guys in after their initial run when they first came in. They were super hot. They gave them the belt, and then they just faded those guys into like non-existent roles in the company. And Sheamus was still more involved than Dolph. Dolph got got like blacklisted. They they treated Dolph like he was like some fucking scrub, which is hella disrespectful. So I hope he goes to AEW. Hell, you could put a belt on Dolph and the crowd will go fucking crazy. Like, I think AEW fans are very smart, and like I said, a lot of them will be WWE fans, whether they want to admit it or not. But once Dolph goes to AEW, they could actually do something and revitalize his career, which I think he deserves before he retires. He's way too good and way too good of a gimmick for him just to fade into mediocrity. And, and like I said, I'm a big Dolph guy. I mean, like, out of like wrestling t-shirts, I actually bought a Dolph shirt back in the day. I actually have a Dolph Elite figure. Like if I didn't really like them, there's no way I would spend money on their fucking merch or a figure, but I still got it. And it was from when he first came up, where he had like that black leather coat and he was wearing like the pink trunks, And my Dolph shirt I don't even have anymore because I wore it so much that it literally had holes in it everywhere. Holes on the front, holes on the back. It was like my favorite shirt. Then I made it into a cutoff shirt, and then eventually the holes were too big. It was barely hanging on. I really did want to keep it, but I mean there was literally nothing left of the shirt. And they're both even based off athleticism. Like Miz and Dolph were like the perfect two guys to wrestle each other. But I can't wait until we see Dolph. Like, I know some people are waiting for Matt Riddle to get signed wherever he goes, but Matt Riddle ain't fucking the Miz, and Matt Riddle ain't fucking Dolph Ziggler. So, wow, that was stiff. Holy shit, Gunther right to fucking the Miz's fucking chin. That one was like a knockout blow. That stunned him. He hit him a lot harder than he was expecting. Did you see that? He thought the kick was coming at about 50%. That kick came in 95%. That one almost looked like a tooth came out. That one like stunned him. He's like, holy shit, you hit me a little harder than I was expecting. And then once you get hit hard, what do? You hit hard back because you're mad, right? It's like, you hit me too hard, bro. You did a Sheamus. So now I got to hit you back. And then we'll go with a little back and forth. But that's what happens with these wrestlers. One guy hits a little too hard, they're not going to let it go. They're like, all right, I got to get a couple of my shots in before I get my ass kicked here. I love the Young Bucks, though. The Young Bucks are one of the greatest tag teams to ever live. I mean, you could say Usos and a lot of these others, the New Day. I mean, there's so many, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, like you can go through, all of these different combinations of amazing tag teams and whatnot. But if you're looking at like pure athleticism and putting on a show, I mean, the Young Bucks are fucking incredible. Like WWE fans wouldn't even know what to do that with themselves if the Young Bucks were in WWE and they actually gave them a proper push and a proper feud. We all know, obviously with the super kicks, but it's more than just the super kicks. Like I said, it's the double team moves. It's all being in sync with each other, right? And it's also doing moves that we've never seen before. That's what makes the Young Bucks special, is that they've had that chemistry and they've wrestled so much with each other that normally when they wrestle, you'll see a double team move or a synchronized move or something, a double team move that maybe you've never seen before. That's what makes the Young Bucks special. I'm a big fan. Like, I'm a big Kenny Omega Young Bucks guy. So. But I like both federations. But I'll tell you what, even though I like AEW more than WWE, when my favorites aren't wrestling, if they're hurt or they're not, involved in the storyline, AEW takes a step back or two, where even for me, being one of the most like hardcore AEW fans, sometimes I'm not interested. Like, if I don't get Moxley on there, if I don't see Bryan Danielson on there, if I don't see Kenny Omega, if I don't see the Young Bucks, then it's like, okay, I see the rest of the roster, but it's not as good as it could be, with these other guys wrestling or on the mic. So, and I feel that AEW, if some of these guys are injured, it definitely hurts the company, because they need all of their superstars healthy and in the storylines to be able to compete with WWE. That's just the bottom line. It's facts. Yeah. I've always recognized Dolph with his athleticism, his persona. But the thing that really sold me early in his career is that how good that he was a seller of moves. By far, he was one of the best in the company, if not the best. And every time you watch matches of legends, right, your favorite wrestlers back from the 80s and 90s, look to see how good they sold moves. And the better a seller of moves, that can make the other person look better than they really are. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You would see certain guys that were like really, really good at selling. Oh, there we go. Got Gunther back. I mean, too bad he can't get his leg high enough because Gunther's so goddamn tall. He's got to like lean forward. But if the Miz caught Gunther in the chops as hard as Gunther hit Miz, oh, there would be a problem. Miz all of a sudden goes 10 out of 10 and hits him in the fucking jaw. Boom. Gunther would probably get out of character and fucking lose it. See, we think alike. Like you might be Shawn Michaels and you might like Bullet Club and I might be NWO and Bret Hart. But I think for the most part, we see eye to eye on a lot of things that maybe the average wrestling fan does not see. Respect, bro. Like I said, I'm always going to be Bret Hart. You're going to be Shawn Michaels. You're always going to be Bullet Club. I'm always going to be NWO because when you're NWO for life, brother. Oh, yeah. You already know what it is. For life, brother. Oh, yeah. Oh, 1, 2, 2. Yeah, Des Bryant said that, but the thing is we still got to wait for the Pac-12 championship. You got to keep going through because you got Bama and Georgia, right? But if Georgia beats Bama, they might slide down. If Oregon beats Washington, then obviously they slide down. So there's no guarantee that Bama is going to be there. You know what I mean? Like Des can put that post out right now, but again, we still have to wait to see who the fourth team is going to be. Is it still Ohio State? Is it going to be Bama? Who will it be? Texas? Like, I mean, if Bama barely beat Auburn, do they deserve to be in the playoff this year? I would rather have Ohio State in the playoff this year over Texas or Florida State or Bama. You know what I mean? It's the end of an era for the SEC to a certain degree besides Georgia, And what I want to see is I want to see Oregon play Michigan, right? And then you'll get Ohio State or whoever the hell that plays Georgia, at that 4 spot versus the 1. 1, 2, 2, right? And then if we can beat Michigan, then we play Georgia in the Natty, and then we'll go from there. But that's the path that I want. Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Oregon 3, if we win against Washington in the Pac-12 championship, and then whoever the hell they put at 4. Alabama, Texas, Ohio State, whoever it is losing to Georgia in the first round. So skull-crushing finale. I mean, if you really want to surprise the crowd, then you have someone like Miz win, but you know that Miz has no chance when they're trying to make Gunther the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. So there's 0% chance that Miz wins. So when you know this, we can enjoy the match, but the same thing with Roman Reigns. You just know that if they're trying to make these guys the longest, 10-year guys in both, then it kind of ruins it. You know what I mean? Like, I need to be able to see like a little bit of glimmer, a little bit of hope, so that way you can get other wrestling fans involved and invested, and not, or, people that automatically know no matter what happens, that there's no scenario where the Miz, ends up beating Gunther, and the Gunther ain't dropping the belt anytime soon. Neither is Roman Reigns. It's like, if they really wanted to be able to have excitement, they wouldn't have labeled it, oh, these guys are trying to be the longest 10-year champions in each of the belts. That ruins the excitement and the surprise. The good old nutcracker. The reason that Kyle McCord sucks is because Kyle McCord sucks. That's what it is. You know what I mean? There's a reason, because he's not CJ Stroud, he's not Justin Fields, and he's the worst quarterback Ohio State's had in 10 to 15 years. And if you're, going to beat Michigan and you haven't beat them in 2 years, you need a CJ Stroud type of player there. And even if CJ was there, there's no guarantee that he would have been able to win that game against Michigan. That's just the honest truth. Right? I mean, he already lost to him before, and there's the Miz tapping at. Like, if you're going to be at that school, you got to make sure that you got a quarterback that didn't suck ass. It's like Milroe from Bama. That's why now Bama's not legit either. Their quarterback stinks. McCord stinks. It's like they're not terrible, but based off the school, they're terrible. They need to have someone better. If you're going to be the quarterback of Bama or the quarterback of Ohio State, you got to be one of the top dogs. You can't be the 10th or 12th best quarterback, in college football and think that you're going to be able to skate by all these other teams and find your way in the championship. Doesn't work like that. Gunther, Lenny D actually thinking that the Miz was going to win. Oh, yeah, we will put down Kyle McCord because he stinks. It's a reality. People need to know the truth. If someone's good or someone's not good. He's not terrible, but for what you are at Ohio State, not a good enough player to be able to win a championship. That's very clear. I mean, you can't beat Michigan, and you can go undefeated and beat up all the shitty teams in the Big Ten. But again, you have a pecking order on how good you're going to be. Shorty G. Yeah, but if you compare Milroe to all the other great quarterbacks this year, where would you rank them? Same thing with McCord. Exactly, right? So it's like you can like Milroe and you can like McCord a little, but when you're comparing to see like the overall talent of what you're getting from some of these other quarterbacks, whether it be a Caleb Williams or a Jaden Daniels or a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix Jr. or a Quinn Ewers, I mean, like, how far down the pecking order are we going? You know what I mean? If you want to be a champion, you can't have the 10th best quarterback in college football. You can't have the 13th best quarterback in college football and think you're going to win it. Not everyone can be CJ Stroud. You know what I'm saying? That's the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes people don't want to hear it, but it is what it is. And certain guys are going to be better in the NFL. Like, do you actually think Kyle McCord and fucking Jalen Milroe are going to be good in the NFL? Fuck no. They're not going to be good in the NFL. Hell, there might be people like Bo Nix that might win the Heisman, and he might still not be good in the NFL. So it shows you he has almost an 80% completion percentage, but he might end up being Baker or worse than Baker. It all depends on coaching, supporting cast, and where they go. Liv Morgan, hello. Live. Yeah, but if you're barely beating a dog shit team like Auburn, when we talk about these teams like Bama and Ohio State, there's prestige worldwide, wide, right? And they got to be the best of the best, not third best, fifth best, eighth best, 10th best. We're talking about Bama and Ohio State. It's like you're number one or number two or nothing, and that's the standard that they have. Not to lose to Michigan or barely beat Auburn with 30 seconds left. That's unacceptable. Facts. Judgment Day. Dirty Dom, baby.
By the way, the Judgment Day ejector belt. I'm gonna go find Drew, tell him this news. Also, tell him about that thing.
Yeah. And Matt, you love to talk shit about the Beavers all the time. So why you got to be able to be so sensitive over fucking Kyle McCord? This is fucking sports. This is what it is. So you can call Oregon State bitches, and then all of a sudden we think Kyle McCord isn't good, and then you get your feelings hurt. Come on, brother. So it's easy to talk shit about a rival like the Beavers, but then you got someone like Kyle McCord, and then you get all sensitive. Come on, bro. You just got to keep it 100. You know, it's not talking shit if it's real and it's honest, right? Like, I feel sorry for the Beavers. You know, you wanted to call them bitches. I didn't. You know, like I said, I watch every game that they play, right? I feel sorry for them. You know, they lost to the Ducks. They lost their head coach, the only guy that could actually bring them back to, you know, prominence, right? Now he's gone to Michigan State. Now they have no conference, no coach, and all their players that they ended up getting recruited are leaving, right? That doesn't sound like a bitch to me. I feel sorry for them. You know, that's it's tough. Like, literally, they're in the worst scenario that out of any college football team that you could be. You know, that's the reality, right? And like I said, we're gonna judge people, you know, based off their talent, their school, and where they're at. If someone is good or someone isn't good, okay. Recognize, brother. If you're gonna talk shit about the Beavers and then you hear something about McCord, relax, bro. But you weren't joking around. You like to be able to talk shit about the Beavers. And that happens is because you're young, okay? You may not be young Nola, all right? But when you're younger, right, including myself, you know, the hater, you know, in you and the haterade, it comes out. You know, a lot of young people are that way, including myself. You know, growing up when I was younger, it was always fuck the Beavers, fuck everybody else. You know, it's only the Ducks. You know, but as you get older, you start to appreciate, you know, the other teams that are in the division, even the rivals. You appreciate the greatness, but also you have to be critical of players when they're not good. Like, why are we, you know, backing someone that we know that is not up to the Ohio State standard? Like, is there, I mean, like, go back and look at all the quarterbacks, even like Cardale Jones and all these guys. McCord is probably the worst one in the last 10 or 15 years. I mean, is that a false statement? It's true. I mean, he's not good. Not to that standard. Now, if he was at a different team, you know, like Wisconsin or something, they'll fine. You know what I mean? But not for the Ohio State standard. He's not CJ Stroud. He's not Justin Fields. He's not going to be good in the NFL. Hell, I don't even know if he'll get drafted. Saying. So you got, you know what I mean? Like I said, if you're going to be critical one way and then all of a sudden sensitive in another way, and like I said, when you're young, you know, the haterade, you know, you'll be drinking that in abundance. You'll be going to 7-Eleven and drinking it all day, all night. But once you get a little bit older, you know, then you'll start to realize, you know, it's always good when we could be good as a conference. But, you know, the Beavers are in a terrible position right now. Because, like I said, now they have no conference, no head coach. It was a former player, and the last time the Beavers were good, 23 years ago, right, they had him as quarterback with TJ Houshmandzadeh and Chad Ochocinco. So this was like, you know, like a Chip Kelly figure for them. And now he just dipped. And why did he dip? Because of the security of the Pac-2. He didn't know if they were going to have a schedule or a team. And then the players that committed to Jonathan, they said, what the fuck, man? What do you think DJ's going to do? You think DJ is going to stay there? He may transfer, you know? So everything that they built up the last 2, 3, 4 years is gone within 2 days. Disappeared, gone. You know, all the good recruits, all the people that they tried to get, you know, to buy into this team that's getting on the up and up. Everything they worked hard for to be relevant, to be the third best team in the Pac-12, gone forever. And now it's going to take how long for the Beavers to be good? You know? It might take them like 10 years to get back to the point where they're at now. That sucks. I feel for them. Yeah. Would you draft McCord on your Colts? And the answer is fuck no. All right, Santos Escobar. So far, the pay-per-view has been pretty good. What would we rate that last match? So we started off with this one, which was a 10. And then we went here. I would say with this one, it wasn't like, oh my God. I would say, for me, maybe a 7.5, 8. I mean, it was, you know what I mean? Was there anything memorable that happened in that match? No. So normally I would say 8 because it's Gunther, but it wasn't really that good. So I'm going to go probably 7.5 with that one. It could have been a little bit better. But again, it was as good as it was going to be with these two guys wrestling, a small guy and a big guy. Not the best matchup, obviously. So I'm going to go 7.5 with that one. And then now we're here, and hopefully this will be an 8 or a 9. And this one might be able to steal the show because no one expects this match to be better than this or to be better than this, but it could be. We'll find out. I mean, just the fact that Gunther was in it, you can say 8, and that's normally where I go. But there wasn't one memorable move that I remember from that match. Like, is anyone going to be talking about that match later tonight or tomorrow? And the answer is no. So if it is, then you would do 8 or above. But if it's not, then you can scale back. We still love Gunther, but I feel that this match will have more moves, especially when you got Dragon Lee in there. This one, I think, will be better than the Gunther match, just based off Dragon Lee and his athleticism. But we'll find out. I'm going 7.5. I love Gunther and I love The Miz, but I feel that it could have been better. So normally when I see a Gunther match, it's an 8, 9, or 10, no doubt. But with that one, I think it underwhelmed just a little. So I'll give it a 7.5, especially if we're going from that first match that was a 10. It was a drop-off, pretty considerable. Like I like the chops and whatnot, and there were some moves that were pretty stiff, but obviously, there's no high flying there. There wasn't really any special spots, just kind of like a beat 'em up type of match, like a Brooklyn Brawler kind of match. So I have to be, I got to be, a certain way. So I'm going to go 7.5. So I want to say 8, but it wasn't an 8. When I see an 8 match, I know an 8 match when I see it. So, and I hope this one ends up being an 8. That's what and I think that it's got an upside to be a 9, but I would say probably 8, 8.5 is what this one will end up being, just slightly better than that last match. And it won't be because of Santos Escobar, it'll be because of Dragon Lee. So we'll see what kind of moves we get and if that ends up being the case. As high as a 9, but realistically, somewhere between 8 and 8.5 in this one. At least that's what I'm hoping for. But then if Escobar pulls out some nice spots on top of that, then it'll be a solid 8, 8.5, or maybe even a 9, depending on if he can match, Dragon Lee's, craziness and his moveset. 2 different types of wrestlers, though. See, we're on the same page, bro. It's okay to be a little hard, on the rankings and stuff, like when we talk about NFL or college or wrestling, especially if you have been watching for a long, long time. Just because we got a superstar in the match that we like, normally we just can't automatically just give the match a 9 or a 10 because we like that wrestler. It actually has to be based off the match. Like, is there anything that you're going to remember from that match? No. So if that's the case, how are we going to label it an 8 or an 8.5, with Gunther and Miz? You can't. I mean, I guess you can, but I mean, realistically, there wasn't anything that was that memorable about it. So, you want to be able to have memorable spots in the match, especially if they're not high-flying wrestlers. And there's no weapons or cage or, double team moves or anything like that. So, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but it was a solid 7.5 to me. But with the style of wrestling that these two guys do, it's, a high probability that this one will be an 8 or higher. 46 to go. Ooh, big stiff kick. Nice slap on the leg for the effect. Oh! All right, this match is already better than the Gunther match based off that one move. That one move alone solidified the match to an 8 to an 8.5 already. Already right there. See? And that's what it's about. Dragon Lee is so underrated when you get a Lucha Libre guy, or like AEW's got Vikingo. Oh my God. When I went to fucking Oregon, Portland event with ROH and AEW, that guy is incredible. Like when you see guys do 720s and do crazy things in the ring, that's what wrestling's about. I always like the cruiserweight division in WCW, but Lucha Libre style wrestling is even more, enjoyable for me, even though I'm part Japanese and whatnot, than the strong style with Shinsuke and Asuka and Io and those people. I actually prefer, the Latino lucha libre style. To me, that is by far the most exciting wrestling that we've ever had. And it continues to be able to display itself every year. And you can have a lower name guy like Dragon Lee. The average fan has no fucking idea who Dragon Lee is. But after you see a couple moves, you're like, ooh. Same thing with Vikingo. You're like, oh, wow. I may not really know a whole lot about you, but I like what you do. And with those 2 spots alone, this match is trending to a 9 rather than an 8. The other match was a 7.5. This one is already sitting at an 8, 8.5 with potential to get to a 9. I kind of felt this was going to steal the show out of the matches because I don't think a lot of people are really invested in these two. But again, I knew Dragon Lee's got that move set to be able to get the crowd out of their seat. Big facts. Let's go. $54, 46 to go. Look at this. Come on, Escobar. Let's go, Escobar. Hurricane Rana off the top. Now we're already at like an 8.5 or a 9 already. 2. No one wants to watch a bunch of slow wrestlers slapping, punching, kicking. If I want to watch that, I'll go watch Hulk Hogan back when I was a kid, when I was 8 years old, when it was punch, kick, elbow drop, leg drop, body slam, pin. That shit is boring. We've evolved as fans and as wrestlers. They're more athletic, and I don't need to see Hulk Hogan wrestling. I want to be able to see the 2023 era, and so far, so good. Right now, this one's sitting at like an 8.5 or a 9 already. Let's go. Yeah. I like spots and sequences as well. Big spots in the matches. That's a big part of it too. Double team moves, just innovation. I like to be able to see like inverted moves, like put your little spin to it. Show me a move that I've never seen before. Or maybe I've seen limited wrestlers do it in another promotion, But I have that same appreciation as you as well. I mean, I like the same things you do, brother. I just like Lucha Libre style more than you. That it's going to be like one of my favorites, but spots are what make you remember the matches. You know what I mean? You got to have the big spots, the high flying moves, or just crazy moves and look at this already, more entertaining than the Sheamus match. Nah, Gunther. Look at this. See if we get a counter here. Yes, sir. Let's go. 2. Wow. Is it? Yeah, and also it depends if you like talkers or, you like technical wrestling, you like high-flying wrestling. Like there's so many different styles, that are out there depending on what you like. That's what makes wrestling so awesome, too, because there's just so many different types of personalities and characters and styles of wrestling. There's not just like one type, so it's very easy to become fans of many different types of wrestlers, male or female, and the different styles. Oh, high knee by Dragon Lee. Oh, a high knee by Escobar. High knees for days. Oh! Get him up. 2. But I mean, that's when we rate matches. I feel that, like in general with the wrestling community, whether it's on the internet or not, most people are going to give that Gunther match an 8, just because Gunther's in it, but then if you compare it to this match, it's nowhere even close to an 8, what I'm saying? It's like sometimes you got to see that next match. And even if it's got lower name guys, you're like, oh, wow, this one was much better. Yes. Fucking destroyers are like, the destroyer is like the best move in wrestling. 1, 2. Oh, wow. It's over. Like that? Wow. I didn't think it was going to be over that quick. That was a good match. So, I mean, if you're going to be a hater, you can say it was an 8. I think a proper score for that was an 8.5, but it had great moves where you could claim it to be a 9, but I'm gonna go 1 point higher than the last match that we saw. I'll give it a solid 8.5, leaning more towards a 9 than an 8, but I'll put it there. That one was very good from beginning to end. And then you threw in a fucking destroyer then at the very end too. So 8.5 or 9, I would assume that would be, pretty incredible. Or if you want to call it a 10, it could be a 10 as well. I mean, 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10. It was very good. A hell of a lot better than that fucking Gunther match. I wish it was a little bit longer. That one kind of took us by surprise with the end of the match after the destroyer. I thought we were going to have I don't know, maybe 2 more minutes, of the match. So good match though. All right, what's next? Are we going here? Is this the next match? And then the last match of the night will be here. This has got to be the last match. There's no point. I mean, you either start with the men or end with the men, start with the women or end with the women. So I assume this is the last match. So this would be the next match up, right? Yeah, and the Ripley and Zoe has potential to be slightly better than the Gunther match, but probably not as good as that Dragon Lee match. So I would assume that, we're hoping it's an 8, 8.5. Hopefully it's not, a 7.5 and whatnot. But as long as Zoe Stark does her, job and she, ends up doing some moves as well, then that could easily be an 8, 8.5. But it really determines on her. Ripley will bring it. But what are we going to get from Zoe, though? That if she brings it too, then that's going to make it an 8, 8.5, or a 9. But if not, and she kind of does okay, then it'll probably max out at like a 7.5 or an 8, unless, we see some special things that we haven't seen before. Slim Jim, brother. I saw these collectible Slim Jim Macho Man figures that you could actually put the Slim Jims in the Macho Man figure. It was like a display thing. And there's 3 of them. I saw a collector that had them. I was like, ooh, man, I want that. Anything Macho Man that I see, I'm always all over that. And then I ended up finding a photo of a couple Macho Man autos that are incredible that I hope to add to my collection one day. They're very killer. Yes, I did. I was waiting for you to say something.
The long-lasting scent of game flames made it smell like Dave was in his happy place.
We're updating the graphic. We need one better. Oh, yeah. Let's go.
He wasn't.
Alice loves the scent of gain so much. She wished there was a way to make it last longer. Say hello to your fairy godmother, Alice. And long-lasting Gain scent beads. Part of the irresistible scent collection from Gain.
It's here. Black Friday week is live at Target. I never knew what I did before. Never had. Don't miss the last days to save on Black Friday deals. Hurry, it's Black Friday.
All right, baby.
Saturday, only at Target.
So far, it's been pretty good. I don't think we've didn't really have anything that was like a terrible match. You would think in a pay-per-view, the lowest that you want to have a match is like, 7.5, like 7.5 and above. And that 7.5, it kind of sucks. It's like you want everything to be at 8 or higher, but you already know there's going to be probably at least one match that's a 5 to a 7.5, but you hope it's closer to 7.5 than a 5. But overall, pretty good so far, I would say. Especially with the women's to cap off the pay-per-view. That was pretty sweet. That set the tone. Now when the men, this one should be a 10 as well. So, you start with a 10, you end with a 10, and then you have a few in between that'll be like a 7.5, somewhere between an 8 and a 10. And then we're hoping that somewhere this will be an 8 to 9, somewhere in there. And then we'll end up finishing it off with a bang. And I get to see Randy Orton for the first time in a long time. So, all right, let me go get my drink here real quick. And I'll end up taking Paisley on another walk. And then we got some good games tomorrow. And then we'll end up doing a couple reaction videos. And then I'll end up doing Sunday Night Football, which I believe is the Chargers and the Ravens. And then we got the Vikings on Monday night. All right, let me go grab my drink real quick.
This holiday season, give your family the gift that keeps on going. Energizer Ultimate Lithium. The #1 longest lasting double it.
All right, baby. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, dude, no question. Eagles. Are you kidding me? Not even close. Bills defense is fucking terrible. Josh Allen is a fucking pick machine. They still could maybe find their way as a wild card team just because the AFC is kind of open. But, the Bills are not a good football team this year. They clearly are not. And like I said, Josh Allen is struggling. The running game really hasn't been that good. Diggs was good at the early part of the year, but as of late, the chemistry and the vibe is a little off, and the defense is absolutely atrocious. So Eagles could win by a small amount, but I highly doubt it. I imagine the Eagles will win by 10 or more. But Josh Allen's arm can always keep you in a game for at least a couple quarters, but I don't see the Eagles dropping that game one bit. They're too talented. You could argue that the Eagles and the Niners are the two best teams in football overall. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's the best running back. If everyone is healthy with Debo and Trent Williams, Brock is nice. Defense is good. You added Chase Young. I hope we get an Eagles-Niners NFC championship game. And on the AFC side, you got the Chiefs and the Dolphins. And then below them, you got the Ravens and the Jags. But no Mark Andrews. And Trevor Lawrence needs to play better. So even though the Chiefs wide receiver woes are really serious, you still got to put them up there. But there is a very legitimate shot that the Chiefs are not going to be in the Super Bowl this year. And obviously we had that injury to the turf monster with the Dolphins, right? So we'll see where that goes. But I do kind of like the Miami Dolphins. They have a chance to represent the AFC. So we might have the Dolphins versus the Eagles, Dolphins versus the Niners. I think that could definitely be a possibility. But the two best teams in football clearly are the Eagles and the Niners to me. It's not even close. And there's a gap between everyone else. Like those are the top two, and then there's another section of teams, and then another section of teams. And obviously, if the Eagles and the Niners have injuries, they can be beaten. The Niners won 15 in a row, dropped 3 straight, and a lot of y'all wanted to give up on them and say they're dog shit, they're not good. Then their guys got healthy, then they smacked the fucking Jags at home, by 1 billion, then it smacked my Bucks around, so, and again, if McCaffrey can stay healthy, they are deadly. And they got arguably one of the best coaches in the league with Shanahan as well. So, Ripley, baby, let's go. And I'm not biased. I just call it how I see it. Like I would be fucking shocked if the Bills won that game. I don't think there's any scenario, even if the Bills were full strength, I still think they couldn't beat the Eagles. Honestly. Eagles are on a mission. Same thing with the Niners, you can tell. And both of those teams will end up winning a Super Bowl probably in the next 10 years, but who is it going to be this year? We'll find out. But I don't think the champion will be in the AFC. And if it was, the only team that can win the Super Bowl in the AFC is probably the Dolphins if the Chiefs don't make it. I don't know if there's any other team that could beat an NFC team like the Eagles or Niners. And the only way they would do it is if, obviously Tua and Tyreek and Waddle would have to be great and Mostert, but the defense would have to do their job too. All right, come on, Zoe. I was waiting for you to say something. Lenny D cannot keep it PG or PG-13. Oh, big slap. And this is Zoe's first opportunity to have a big match. So, definitely is going to be better than the Gunther Miz match. There's going to be more intensity in the match. Oh, that was stiff. Well, there goes Ripley. I like the intensity of this match so far. Well, everyone is, Lenny. You lost the Super Bowl last year by not getting a sack or a pick. So that should be definitely the key. If you want to win the Super Bowl, you're going to have to get a sack and a pick, at least one each. And if you guys do the same shit last year, you're going to lose again. So again, defense wins games, defense wins championship. You can do the tush push all you want, the brotherly shove, but ultimately you're going to have to stop someone on the other side. And if you guys are able to do that, you're going to be Super Bowl champs. And if you fail to do that, then you won't be. I mean, it's as simple as that. But to me, the Eagles are, the best team with the Niners. That's the only team that's really the big threat to me, to the Eagles is the Niners. And same thing with the Chiefs. The biggest threat is the Dolphins. But the AFC is a little open. The NFC, it's pretty clear who the best teams are. AFC, there's a lot of problems with injuries and lack of consistency. All right, here we go, Ripley. Give him a suplex. Or maybe they'll suplex Ripley. Here we go. Where are we going? Oh! Wow. Damn! It got me saying damn like Farouk. APA. I was like, ooh. Look at this. Look at Zoe. Look at the athleticism. Already 10 times better than the Gunther match. Like I said, it's all about moveset, chemistry, selling, being entertaining. It's like sometimes you can have big names and sometimes it doesn't matter what the big name is. Sometimes you can be Dragon Lee and Escobar and put on a match that people don't expect you to be that good. Maybe some people thought that Escobar and Dragon Lee match was going to be the worst match, and it by far wasn't. This one's coming out of the gates hot. I like it. Yeah, baby. Headbutt. And obviously Ripley, if she had her original look, she would look like all the other wrestlers, blonde, brunette, obviously if you've seen pictures of her when she first came in, she looked like kind of like a model, she didn't have this type of look, but it's the evolution of the wrestler itself. And I am so happy that you ended up going kind of, oh, look at this. Oh, yes. Lift her up. Yeah, baby. The originality right there. 10 out of 10. 1, 2, 2. That was cool. You got to have a lot of muscle to be able to do a move and then have it go into another move. And then you have to brace yourself and then make it into that suplex for that last move. A lot of difficulty there. There's not a lot of people that could have done that. I love it. And, Bianca Belair is great. Charlotte Flair is great. Asuka is great. But Ripley gives you something a little different, not only based off her look, but her skill set, her move set, and obviously the leader of Judgment Day. She's awesome. I've loved her, evolution in her career. And obviously with the look that she has, no one else has that vibe. So, that emo goth vibe, and I love it, man. I wish that we had more wrestlers like that, but I don't want it to be fake. It has to be authentic. That's the most important thing. Too many fake people out there as it is. And you can tell who, they're trying to cater to. Like you had Charlotte and Bianca kind of roll, the WWE women's division for quite some time, but obviously they didn't want to give Asuka enough love, right? But this is the next in line. Obviously this is the person that if Bianca, took time off or Charlotte was gone or they have feuds with other people, like the face of the WWE for women's could be Ripley. I mean, some would argue it already is. So, and on top of that, you're in a cool faction with Judgment Day, which arguably is the best faction that's in WWE besides Damage Control, as far as newer faction that people are kind of gravitating towards. I like Damage Control, but I love Judgment Day more. That's, to me, you could argue Judgment Day is the best faction that's going on right now. Like in AEW and Impact, NJPW, ROH, WWE, AEW, you could argue that Judgment Day is the best faction in wrestling today. And I love it that they have a female in there, and it's like, it's like DX is China, but it's Rhea Ripley. And obviously she's more skilled than China, and China was amazing when she was alive and with part of DX. China was like the only one that could actually wrestle the men and win, and you could believe it. And I feel Ripley's the same way. Ripley could wrestle the men, and it would be believable, and she's good enough to hang with the men. How many female wrestlers could you really honestly say that with? Bianca, Charlotte, Asuka, Ripley. That's probably it. And maybe even Asuka being a little undersized, it might be like a maybe. But with Ripley and Charlotte and Bianca, they got the size and the strength to hang with the men. Oh!
I'm not entirely sure who took the worst of that exchange. I can't believe Zoe Stark's back up already.
Wow. Zoe and Ripley putting on a show, baby. And that's why you don't want to label a match like with Gunther an 8, because we know goddamn well after watching these last two matches, that was not a fucking 8. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you got to we love Gunther. We got to make sure we're giving him an 8 and above, right? And then you start to watch these other matches and realize, oh my, that was not even close to an 8, maybe a 7.5. And then you got a couple of these other matches that are going to be in that 8 to 10 range with the Dragon Lee and then this match. I mean, when it's all said and done, you're going to have 4 matches that you could argue that are a 9 or better. The Dragon Lee match, this match, and then the men's and the women's. And then you had the one match that might have been a 7.5, the Gunther match. So 2 10s and maybe 2 solid 9s. I got to see where this match goes, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. And as much as I love the spots in that Gunther match too, or not the Gunther, but the Dragon Lee match, this has potential, especially if Zoe holds her own and does more than Escobar did, that this one might even be better than that one. And that one was pretty fucking lit. It's cool to see the women's be so much better than what they were. It's like, they had the divas and the pretty faces, but now you're starting to see it's not about that. It's like you actually got, these women that don't have to necessarily fit a profile of a model, but they're amazing wrestlers. The athleticism is awesome. They have come so far from the Lita days. the Trish Stratus and the Stacy Keeblers to where we're at now. It's awesome. Oh, nice German. Oh, that was stiff. Uh-oh, here we go. 2. And there was people that were messaging me saying that they thought this was going to be a shitty pay-per-view. And I always tell them, yeah, the card looks a little light, but what happens typically when the card looks light, there's going to be a couple matches that exceed the expectations, Dragon Lee, Ripley, and they have. We already knew the men's and the women's were going to be good, but everyone was critiquing the other 3 matches. They saw the Gunther Miz and like, boring. And they saw the other 2 matches and thought, boring. But these other 2, the Dragon Lee and then this one, they're not boring at all. They're stealing the show. I would say this match and then that Dragon Lee are pretty even. I mean, if you want to, you want to give it an 8.5, a 9, 9.5, 10, wherever you're wanting to go with it. But pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, I'm entertained. There's only been one match that hasn't really been entertaining. It was the Gunther match. All the other matches have been, closer to a 9 than closer to an 8. Like the Gunther and the Miz match was a 7.5, and everything else, even if you're a hater, has been an 8 or above. I think it's safe to say that we can agree to that. The Dragon Lee one, pretty good. You could say that was a 9, this was a 9, and we already know the men's and the women's are going to be a 10. So let me see what is that average. Let's see what the average is. All right, so we got probably a 10 and then a 10 and then a couple 9s and then a 7.5, and then we divide that by 5. So the one match brings it down a little bit, but it'll probably end up being an 8, 8.5 solid pay-per-view overall. It all depends on what you like, and especially if you have an appreciation for Ripley and what you're seeing. Every wrestling fan is different. It also depends on how old you are, too, and how much wrestling you've seen. You know what I mean? For people that are 40 and up that have been watching wrestling, since the 80s, are going to have a different opinion than maybe of someone that's only been watching wrestling for the last 15 or 20 years. So I'm more about the moveset and the production rather than who's wrestling. Of course, we're going to have our favorite wrestlers, you know what I mean? But again, some people are going to have their favorites compared to others. Stone Cold Dust. And 8 night, yeah. The big gold. Always an awesome belt. Shoosh. But based off just looking at the card, right, it's been better than we thought. Like I said, I think initially everyone was like, oh, it doesn't look the greatest, even for like hardcore fans, but you could kind of see some potential there. But, to have this be the worst match and then these ones hit, that's what we want, right? We don't want 3, crap matches. And then obviously we're going to get a 10 here. And this is the last match.
Entire year. It takes place 9 weeks from tonight, right here on Peacock. Corey, we start the road to WrestleMania in Tampa, St. Pete, the Royal Rumble. I cannot wait to head south to the Tampa Bay. But before we get there, Cole, we got to go to war one more time. And we still have our main event to come tonight. And right after our main event at War Games, we have the Survivor Series War Games press conference. It'll be right here on Peacock and also on YouTube. Some of the stars who might be a part of the Survivor Series press conference live immediately following War Games.
Let's go, baby.
heard anything? I know nothing. I've heard nothing. I haven't seen Randy's not here. No. Hey, well, I'm telling you, he ain't coming because it's my fault. He ain't gonna show up. It's not. We're good here, all right? Nothing good.
So based off the matches so far, the pay-per-view, if we're going to go based off a 10, a 9, and a 7.5, it's at an 8.875 so far. So, and obviously if this is a 10, right, then that's going to bring the score up.
Will the Viper Randy Orton come through for his first match in over a year and a half? We find out as we step back inside the brutality of War Games right after this break. For our subscribers at Peacock Radio Plus, let's get a closer look at this matchup that will culminate in the ferocious.
And then if we end up getting a 10 on this last match, then it'll come out to be 9.1, which is a solid 9, which is what we were hoping for, right? A 9 overall. Yeah, we haven't had a 9 overall pay-per-view. I mean, we've gotten pretty close, on some. But usually there's if we have 8 matches, you already know that 3 of them are going to kind of underwhelm, and you have 3 that have a potential for 10 and 2 for 9s. But one, meh match, and then the other 2, for the one-on-ones were good, what we expected, or maybe even slightly better than we expected. And then obviously with the men's and the women's, we expect 10s here and here, and I think we're going to get it. So plus we don't know what other surprises we might have here as well. MSU in the building. What's good? Yeah. Now it crippled Oregon State now. Not only did they lose the Civil War, they lost their coach. They're probably going to lose DJU. All the recruits that were coming in, the next quarterback, they're going to transfer out. So, not only did you guys take him, but you guys crippled the program. Not only do they have no conference, no coach, no players, now they're in depressed dog. So, I mean, I don't really know what that's going to do for Michigan State. I mean, I guess that'll be good for you guys, but definitely not good for the Beaver fans. A lot of them are fucking distraught right now because the only person that was going to help them, bring back, any kind of level of, being respectable was Jonathan Smith. So, him being a former quarterback, back when we had Joey Harrington and whatnot, and they had TJ Houshmandzadeh and Chad Ochocinco. And so now if he's gone, and he went for, security because obviously Oregon State doesn't have a conference or games scheduled. So they're just sitting there. So for him to take the job, it wasn't surprising, and he probably would have took another job to go somewhere else. But for all the Oregon State Beaver fans, they feel betrayed, that he's a chump, that he left. But again, Oregon State and Washington State are in a shitty position right now. And it took them so long to get to this point to be the 3rd best team in the Pac-12. Now you're going to start off being all the way at the bottom with Colorado all over again. And then you're not even in the Pac-12 because the Pac-12 doesn't exist. So I feel bad for him. I'm a Duck fan, but I'm not an asshole. So. Yeah, I mean, they're going to get a conference, but I mean, it doesn't matter if they go to the MAC, the WAC, if they go to the ACC, they're fucked. You know what I mean? They built up all of that, and all the recruits were, listening to Jonathan Smith. So if Jonathan Smith lied to them and said, bye, right, what's going to make a transfer that is a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star guy still come to Oregon State? Hell, DJU might leave. You know what I mean? So now you're having to not only rebuild the coach, and then all the players that you have there now and hope that they stay, and then all the high school All-Americans and the transfers that were thinking about coming over to Oregon State now are going to change their mind. Now they're like, fuck, why am I going to come? If Jonathan Smith's not there, I'm not coming, right? And they're going to go somewhere else. So now their program is down at the dirty dozen bottom. They're not in a good situation mentally, physically, or recruiting. So it is what it is, but we will see. We will see what happens with them. And I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make for Michigan State. Michigan State is always going to be mid. They're going to be in the middle with Iowa and Wisconsin and whatnot. But maybe it'll be better than the last coach that you had. Let's go, baby. Last match. Let's get it. Yeet. WWE Survivor Series War Games. Hell yeah. I think I prefer Elimination Chamber a little bit more, but still Survivor Series War Games is cool. Yeah. I just wish the Pac-12 commissioner wasn't so greedy. You know, like I said, oh, you know, we want 50 million with the TV deal, and they said like 20 to 30, and then the commissioner was like, "Fuck you," and then they said, "Fuck you," and then now we don't have a conference. Like they ruined everything. But it was almost inevitable that we were going to have two super conferences with the SEC and the Big Ten, and then eventually we're going to have a playoff. You know, that's coming very soon. You know, to go from, 4 teams, 8 teams, 12 teams, 16 teams. So, I guess, it was the time, but I still feel bad for the Cougs and the Beavers, acting like they're just like cheap trash and they're not, good enough. Here we go. One of my favorites, the best big man in wrestling right now, the best on the mic and the best in the ring, Drew McIntyre. He can be a face, he can be a heel, and I hope they give him another title run, either at the IC or for the World Heavyweight belt. He deserves it. I mean, he was champion when it was COVID and had no one cheering for him. He deserves to feel the energy of the crowd. Drew as a heel is the best.
He's just glad to get the opportunity to be locked inside a steel cage with Jey Uso. McIntyre's vengeance knows no bounds. McIntyre would move heaven and earth for this opportunity.
Yeah, and then obviously you'll have Georgia, Bama, Oklahoma, and Texas, and then it'll be Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, and then whoever the fourth team ends up being, Penn State or USC. So if USC ever gets a fucking defense, then they could be the fifth team, and then you got Penn State up there too. But let's go, baby. I like the face mask, Judgment Day, baby. Heels, heels, heels. Dirty Dom, Dirty Dom, Dirty Dom. Stare down, stare down, stare down. Look at my eyes. Stare, stare, stare. Stare some more.
No problem. Stay fresh. Keep the gas in the tank before the official beginning of the matchup. But these two are still
Dirty Dom, Dirty Dom, Dirty Dom. Yeah, but it was eventually going to probably happen. You know what I'm saying? Like it happened maybe earlier than we thought, but with all the teams shifting to go to these super conferences with like Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC, it was a matter of time before the Big Ten had to scoop the best of the best, in the Pac-12. For me personally, I would have went, if it was me and I was running it, I would have gone Oregon, Washington, USC, and instead of UCLA, no offense to Chip Kelly, I would have taken Utah. I think Utah would have been the better fit in the Big Ten to give us another team that is better than UCLA with Cameron Rising coming back to school for his like 15th year of college. So, that's what I would have done. But again, UCLA is pretty good at football and basketball. Maybe not the best, but like mid-tier. And, we'll see where it goes. That's part of wrestling, baby. You know, it's like when you can get the crowd participation and you feel that energy, regardless if Cody is a face or a heel. I love it. You know what I mean? Stardust, stupid. Wow. Got the weight belt. So cool. And like I said, Cody, whether you love him or you hate him, he does the coolest thing in wrestling today out of any wrestler that's in any promotion. Giving away that weight belt is like getting Bret Hart glasses, but even on a better level because it's worth more. You know what I mean? Like getting that weight belt or getting a weight belt from him. I mean, you're getting a piece of memorabilia that's worth hundreds of dollars. Like Bret Hart glasses that were plastic. If you got original ones, yeah, maybe they're worth, 75 to like $100 or something like that. But it ain't going to be like that weight belt. It's not like you saw Hollywood Hogan giving away his weight belt. He would take it off and whip the wrestlers with it. But Cody has got all my love and respect. And we already know eventually he will be the guy that gets the belt off of Roman to complete the journey. So oh, yeah. Yeah, we got tickets. I went to AEW Dynamite, and then obviously you snuck down with your homie. We got tickets for Raw, so we got some like nosebleed tickets that are like dead middle, like courtside. If it was like a Blazer game, but on the 300 level for like $20, and then we're just gonna go to the camera side where they don't really have fans, and then we're just gonna sneak over there and sit within the first 5 rows. We won't be on the floor, but we'll be in the first like probably 5 rows off the floor, which is going to be much more than $20 a seat. So, I mean, obviously if we can get down to the floor, we will, but we're going to Raw in January. I mean, anytime a show comes here to Oregon, I'll usually go with Justin or with Preston. So good times. Besides the like young kids that are screaming the whole time, or like that weirdo guy that always wants to talk. Like every time I go to a fucking thing, there's always someone that wants to talk to me or talk to Preston. And you don't want to be rude or whatever. You just want to be able to enjoy the event. But it's like there's always people that are wanting to talk, and it's like, man, I'm just trying to enjoy the experience. And it's not like we're like faded. Both of us are sober and just enjoying the moment and whatnot. But I mean, some of these wrestling fans, they just want to talk. Man, we got to watch the goddamn event. Seth Rollins has got a pair of nut sacks on his shoulders. What we got going here? Got a left sack and a right sack on his shoulder. What's up with the nut sacks? Seth got the gold sacks. Yes. Seth freaking Rollins. Cody's like, what the fuck you wearing with these ball sacks on your shoulders, bro? What's up with the ball sacks on the shoulders, though? Like everything about the outfit is like, I mean, it's always over the top with Seth, you know what I mean? But what is the purpose of the sacks? Nothing. Just to be weird, be weird and different, There's no point for the sacks. You know what I'm saying? But when you're Seth Rollins, you can do whatever the hell you want. You can wear whatever you want, just like with him and Becky Lynch. The golden sacks. Saks Fifth Avenue. Sack it to me. There, take that shit off. There you go. Versace Rollins in the building. Yeah, I got the pillows on his shoulders if he wants to take a nap. Oh, baby. Oh, Seth already. Let's go. They're going to have him come out at the very end. Of course. They're not going to have him come out early. They wanted to make it suspenseful. They never were going to release Randy with the group. It's always going to be at the very, very end. He either gets jumped in the back and he's not cleared to wrestle yet, and then he gets beat up and he can't come to the ring, and then they have to go from there. And then whether we see CM Punk or not, which I highly doubt we're going to see him, or we're actually going to get Randy Orton out there, and it would make sense for him to be last, so that way he doesn't have to wrestle as much. I mean, you want it to be like a big pop. Like, you know what? You want the pop to be like with Seth or with Cody, like when they come out, right? So you don't want to waste the pop when you already have these other guys there and you haven't been wrestling in a long, long time. So they're going to milk it, you know? That's why, you know, they want you to be able to watch to the very end of the pay-per-view, right? Like, imagine if you were on the fence of watching this, right? And you're like, oh, Randy Orton hasn't showed up. I guess I got to watch the whole thing. All right, we got Seth Rollins, me and Sarah's favorite, versus Finn Balor, Lenny's favorite, besides Shawn Michaels.
Reinforcements are on the way. Rollins whipped into the steel cage. And face first into the steel goes Rollins yet again. 3 minutes and Balor has backup.
And I'm really proud of Seth, you know, after the knee injury, you know, I was hoping that he wouldn't scale back and change the style of wrestler that he was. Because if you go back and look at Seth before the injury, how crazy he was in and out of the ring, diving in, flipping out, flipping in, flipping out, you know, and, you know, I guess it could be a little scary at first, you know, when you come back from something like that, to be a little cautious and whatnot. But after years have passed, that craziness has still come out, and it's obviously made Seth Rollins to who he is today. Great on the mic, great in the ring, and one of the greatest personalities that we've seen in WWE in the last 30 years. And he's always been my favorite, not only in the Shield, but overall. And yeah, like I said, I got guys like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, you know, that I absolutely love, you know, on the AEW side, Bryan Danielson. I mean, there's a long list of guys, but by far, Seth is my favorite in WWE, not even close. I mean, there's other guys that I like a lot too and appreciate, but definitely my favorite. It's like if Kenny Omega is healthy, you know, and he's out there, that's going to be probably my favorite in AEW. And love me some Seth Rollins. And obviously, I can't forget about, you know, Bryan Danielson. I've always loved him. Just sucks with his injury. 9 more to 20. 46 to a hundo. But I guess it just depends on the style that you like. Sometimes I like a Moxley, you know, a Brooklyn Brawler beat 'em up style. Sometimes I want to see technical moves and I want to see some, you know, really strong style like, you know, Bryan Danielson, or I want to see some innovation. Give me Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. So, you know, it just kind of depends, I guess, the mood that you're in and the vibe that you like. You know, and obviously I love me some Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I like their vibe that they bring. You know, it just depends, I guess, on what you enjoy. And I'm still kind of like baffled that Randy Orton would be coming back, because like the injury that he had, it was very similar to the Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, where, you know, he hit his back and, you know, maybe wasn't going to be able to wrestle ever again, or he would have to rehab for a long, long time. And there's a big risk, you know. It's like we don't want to see Randy Orton as a shell of himself. Oh, nice kendo. Indo, outdo, kendo. Yeah. And all these people on the internet, breaking news, a guy from Chicago spotted in Chicago that lives in Chicago, CM Punk. So I don't know. I just can't see CM Punk being really in wrestling anymore, honestly. It's just too much of a risk. It's like, how many more t-shirts are you really going to sell? How many more fans are you really going to get? if CM Punk comes back to AEW or WWE. If anything, it's going to make the rest of the wrestlers in the back uncomfortable and unhappy, and not because CM Punk is taking their spot. It's just the drama that is involved with him. It's like if anyone that, it's like you see like, some of the reality TV shows and whatnot. It's like he's like a reality person, It's like sometimes the drama is just not worth it. I mean, what are you going to gain from him being in AEW? Oh, nice. What are you going to gain? Like how many more fans are going to tune in? I mean, Randy Orton's a bigger draw than CM Punk. It's like. And it's not like CM Punk is still in his prime. I mean, he's at the end of his career where, he's like not terrible, but he's not great or elite. He's just above average. That's it. And sometimes it's average wrestling. Let's be honest. You could be the biggest CM Punk fan, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, you're not going to go out of your way and be like, oh my God, CM Punk is must-see TV, said no one ever. Even his most hardcore fans know that, what is he going to give you? At most, an 8 performance, and that might be pushing it. Kendo to the back. Yeah, get in there. Right in your nose. How you like that? And Randy is there. His wife is front row. So he is there. We'll just see when he comes out at the very, very end. He said, open that shit. Yeet. Yeet. Ooh. Yeet. Yeet. Oh, he got kicked. Yeet. 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 Oh, yeet. 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 Oh, yeet. Fans love catchphrases. They love to be able to participate. And the more times you can get the crowd to interact with you, obviously the vibe is there, whether it be Cody Rhodes with your song, or if it's a catchphrase or something that you have on a t-shirt. Not everyone has got that type of swag and that vibe where the crowd may not even like him, but they like the chant, and being a part of whatever it is. Ooh, what a move. There we go, Seth. Super kicks, double cheeseburger with cheese. Yeet. Five, six.
He's got some issues with the bloodline. And now, Seth Rollins, top rope, tight rope.
There we go. Shout out to all the goats hanging out with your boy. I appreciate you guys very much. And I'm really happy that we got a couple people to show some love so that way we didn't hit a donut or a 0, for all the hard work and the effort and the energy and everything that goes involved. So shout out to Mr. Williams and Odin's son, people that aren't even here to show that kind of love. Respect. What's up with Damian Priest within the last like 2 or 3 pay-per-views wearing like the female styled shirt where it's like a very weird looking, like it's like, can't you find something that's a little bit more like manly, like look? Like it's always like a weird, I don't even know how to describe it, like unusual cut on the shirt on the last couple pay-per-views. It doesn't make you look intimidating or anything like that, like at all. It just makes you look weird. Like somebody in wardrobe needs to be like, bro, we got to hit you with a better looking, it just always has like a weird like V cut. It's like, he's not a female where he's trying to show off the cleavage. The Dominican Poppy don't need to show off the cleavage. It's just weird looking. What's the point of that cut right there and that look? Like, you know what I'm saying? It just looks weird. You're not a Chippendale dancer. You're not a male entertainer. Like, what the fuck is that? Weird. He should fight shirtless because whatever the hell the wardrobe is, I don't know, man. It looks weird to me. Last couple, pieces of wardrobe are just odd. Like, just have it all be one solid black. It'd look a hell of a lot better. Why is there an open circle there? Terrible. Well, you can't be the leader of Judgment Day if you dress like a weirdo. Okay. The dominatrix jump off. Where's his whip? I mean, that is an angle that they could do, with Ripley and Dom and him and the Judgment Day. I would like to see them do something cool, like a skeleton suit. If they were going to go that route, where it's it's like Bones. If they were going to do something like that, and then they can have a little tint of purple, and black to do it like that. But I don't need to see no male cleavage shirt. You feel me? Let's go, Sammy. Hey, I mean, like the wrestler's fit is important. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm saying? Like, we've all watched Priest wear some questionable tops. Like, I could care less, for shorts or pants or whatever he's got going on. But I don't know. Just the shirts are not a good look. Nice. My neck and my back. Nice job, Sammy. Weapons, boy. Yeah. Get the tables. Fucking get Uzi. Fucking Uzi. There we go, Sammy. Yeah. Stomp on his ass. Sammy's energy is so infectious, you know what I mean? And that was probably the best thing of wrestling all year, is actually seeing him be able to talk, seeing him to be able to be a part you know, and being Usi and being with the Click. That was probably the best thing that was unexpected, but ended up panning out and ended up being great for WWE is the Sami Zayn evolution. To me, that was probably the best thing that we've seen in the last year and a half. Not Roman Reigns having a title for a billion years, but Sami and the feuds and, you know, being a part of that crew. The bloodline. Part of the bloodline, in the bloodline, out of the bloodline. And obviously it made it all work because he's a fantastic talker on the mic, just like Kevin Owens. But if Sami wasn't good on the mic, then he wouldn't be as good. But it's a combination of being like a 10 on the mic, you know, and then being a very skilled wrestler that's entertaining. You know, it's a combination of both. Because he still would be a fan favorite if he couldn't talk on the mic that well. But obviously, if you can do the mic and in the ring and you have that energy, then it takes you into another level where you're going to be a lot of people's maybe not favorite wrestler, but maybe someone in their top 5, like myself. Love his energy. Yeah, Ultimate Warrior, those ropes, biatch. Let's go. Shake them ropes. And as far as like global, you know, he's got some of the most fans globally. You know, everyone loves Sami Zayn. Appreciate that, Matt. Matt liking the stream. Everything helps. Indo, outdo, kendo. Nothing like hands hitting a chair seat. Deadly.
Who said that this is a quote? He was put through major trauma after what the bloodline did to him.
Let's go, Drew. And Drew's got the look, right? And he's got the moves. But what makes Drew amazing is his mic skills. Most big men are terrible on the mic. He's actually very, very good. He can enunciate. He can pronunciate. He's got the you know, the that vibe that you don't really get. And obviously you have the accent on top of that. I mean, he is the complete package for a bigger wrestler. It's exactly if you were going to build like a prototype wrestler, like and create a player in WWE, it would be someone like Drew McIntyre if they were a big wrestler. Stud. My favorite big man wrestler that's wrestling in WWE, AEW, out of all of the wrestlers, he is by far my favorite. Like Undertaker was my favorite, you know, back in the day for like a big guy. Drew obviously is by far my favorite for the big guys now. Yeet, 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 yeet. And how will Randy approach this? Are him and Jay going to be good, you know, and work together? Or is he going to screw them, you know, based on what happened with Randy and Jay before Randy got hurt? So, you know, there's so many ways that they can go about this storyline where it could end up being, you know, working together or screwing the team. So, and then starting a feud. So we will see what direction WWE, what they have planned. Is the next feud Randy Orton and, you know, Jey Uso, or is it Randy Orton and someone else? That is yet to be seen.
He's ticked off that Jey Uso never apologized to him. I'm sure Drew ever gave that. But we get the point. Is Uso is driven off the steel. Today, Ramrod is face first.
Jalen Milroe after they beat Auburn. Give me the Heisman. Give me that motherfucker. You're not getting it. Nice try. You barely beat Auburn at the end. Sorry, bud. Not a chance in hell. And then if they want to give it to Jaden Daniels by beating up a bunch of shitty teams, go right ahead. I wish Michael Penix Jr. actually, didn't struggle. A 3D.
Ladies and gentlemen, July 4th, 1987. Early in Atlanta.
Cody, baby. Let's go. And it's good that they have someone that can be a face or a heel. But, I mean, if we're talking about faces in wrestling, I mean, who's a bigger face in wrestling right now than Cody Rhodes? Nobody. So, and he pulls it off well. He can be a face or a heel, but he's more naturally a face, just based on who he is. So, good theme song, good wrestler, good wrestling lineage, Gold Dust, Dusty Rhodes, it's pretty cool, when you can see guys like that. And obviously Randy Orton is third generation too, with Cowboy Bob Orton, and obviously with his grandpa, his dad, and then himself. So I love history and seeing like father-son combos, or father-brother combos, or grandpa, dad, son combos. I think it's very cool. That's going to mean even more when Cody ends up getting the belt. Like if they would have gave him the belt originally against Roman, it would have been cool. But the build-up, it's going to end up being worth it when it finally happens. One night. Yeet! Oh, cowbell. Right there, nutsack. Oh, there goes Lenny D's favorite wrestler. He can't have babies anymore. Call him Lance Armstrong because he only got one nut. Also, if Randy comes out, right, like what are we seeing? Fully cleared Randy? Are we talking about a Randy that is just going to be doing a little? Is he going to be like full 100%? Like what kind of Randy are we going to see? Obviously, if they have him cleared, then he should be able to do all of his moveset if needed. But obviously, having him come out last, not only for the drama, but also probably to limit his move set, so that way, he doesn't aggravate something or injure himself. But Dirty Dom. I love it. Love me some Eddie Guerrero. And I love me some Dirty Dom. The dirtiest of Doms. And you'll see Dom, with a nice prominent belt sooner than later too. Give him time to keep getting better and better and better, and eventually we'll see Dom with the IC belt, or maybe at some point with the World Heavyweight Championship at some point. Not anytime probably soon, but if he keeps honing his skills for the next 5 to 10 years, would it be that crazy to think that he has even if it's just a little run, with the IC or with the Heavyweight Championship? I think that it would be a very high possibility that happens. And it's very rare where you can be booed and you can't even talk. Like, think about how many guys have been able to come in. It's like the perfect example of being Dom's, Rey Mysterio's son, and then being like this super heel before you even know how to wrestle or talk properly. So he's already destined for heel greatness. I mean, he's already there. Now he just has to refine his skills on the mic and in the ring. And then eventually he'll be champ and be rewarded for it. So Sarah got the random NFL news. Where are you getting this random news from? Like TMZ? Rando news in the NFL. Dak Prescott. They're having a baby, and that baby will probably make it to the NFL and not get out of the first round also. Sorry, Dak. Seth, Dirty Dom. You know, the funny thing is, though, is that they actually might be able to get out of the first round this year. Maybe. Just based on how the Lions defense is ass. Seahawks don't have Kenneth Walker III, right? Then you got the Vikings and the Saints that are kind of unreliable. This might actually be the year that they go and they might, a capital M, might be able to win a round. Maybe. But don't bank on it. You love it, hybrid. Choke slam. Yeet. It's like Undertaker and Kane. Damn it. Fire and brimstone. Hail. Oh, baby. 5-star. No, but I do actually hope that, Dak has some kind of success at some point in his career, but, time is running out. Oh, Scott Hall, Razor's Edge. All right, where's Randy Orton? And he doesn't come out. Of course, they got to build up the suspense. Mommy's coming? Priest is cashing? Oh, there he is. Good drama right there. Let's go. You already know Randy's always fit. Randy works out like a motherfucker. All right, let's go. Randy can be a face. Randy can be a heel. He's better as a heel, but he actually is like Cody Rhodes where he can pull off being a face and everyone loves it. Everyone likes, him normally as a face or a heel, but this is going to be sweet. Let's go. He looks like he's in great shape. Obviously, when you have surgery, on your back, it's a very scary thing, but he looks just as good as he did when he was wrestling. Let's go. Okay. Couple clotheslines. Yeah, baby. Okay. I wanted to be able to see how many moves can you do? Are you going to get limited or are you you're a go, do whatever you want. And it looks like, obviously he's fully cleared and I can do whatever I want. And I love it. That's definitely going to give a spark to WWE with Randy back. Let's go. I love it. No limitations. I mean, even if he could only do half of the moves, I still would have loved it. But to be able to see him perfect, let's go. Bang. Let's go. Hell yeah. I love it, man. And Orton has always been one of my top 5 in WWE when he's wrestling. Like I said, I got figures of him. I got merch. You know what I mean? Like I said, he's 3rd generation with his grandpa and his dad. And like I said, he can be a face, he can be a heel. And even though he's a bigger guy, he can high fly and do moves that smaller guys do, like a Seth Rollins. And that's what makes Randy awesome. Like, Randy is as big as a Drew McIntyre, right? But he can do moves like a smaller guy also, and do the big moves like a bigger guy can do as well. It's like a very rare combination of being so fit that you're a big guy, but you can do moves, for a guy that's maybe 3, 4, 5 inches smaller than his size. Very, very good. I don't know if I would consider Randy Orton a big guy, though. I mean, I know he's big and he's tall, but I've always kind of viewed him not as like an Undertaker or a McIntyre, Like, if I see like McIntyre and certain guys, they're like kind of like, if you were comparing them to like NBA, they're like centers, right? But when I see Randy Orton to me is kind of like a Joker or a Giannis, where he's like a hybrid, where he could play small forward, power forward, or center because he's that damn good. That's kind of how I view Randy Orton, is like Giannis or like the Joker. Oh, let's go. A quad? Bang! Quad DDT. Let's go. Let's go. Randy bringing the energy. Viper. So this is it right here. Where are we going? Are we going with, the feud, and we're going to go this route? Are they going to work together, or are they not going to work together? RKO! Oh, Cody! You already knew that this was going to be a 10 like the women's. This one's going to end up being an 11 or 12. Let's be honest. You got so many of the best wrestlers in the world that are in these two rings, besides a couple, you know what I mean, that bring that excitement and that energy. And there's one guy that just doesn't belong. And he's like, oh, let me get out of here. I don't belong with all these other superstars. I'm not on the same level. High risk. Just nobody get hurt, please. I always get nervous, you know what I mean? I've already, gone through Owen Hart and so many injuries with spinal cords and necks. Are they going to push him off for an RKO, or is he going to jump up and get an RKO? Well, this motherfucker going to do an RKO off the top? Get the fuck out of here. Oh, baby. I thought he was going to jump up and then do the full RKO off the top. That would have been fucking insane, but then that might have been too much stress on Randy's back. I mean, I guess, oh, you just had surgery? Fuck it. Let's just, potentially fuck your whole body up. Crossroads. Randy looks great. There was no hesitation with it, with his, power slams, all the moves look crisp. There was nothing that make you think that he had surgery. Like, he's just been off TV for a little bit. And that's a good sign for WWE because, most people recognize Randy Orton as one of the top 5 wrestlers in this generation, period. Not many guys have that skill set of being, they have the height and the athleticism and the microphone skills. And that's why Randy is one of the best that has ever put on wrestling boots, period. Jay is like, let me get all the way to the end so I don't get an RKO here at the end of the match. And then just doing the quad, DDT, like doing things like that, shit that you're gonna remember, storyline build up. Wrestling is more than just wrestling. It's a combination of many things. A little bit of athleticism, a little bit of ballet, a little bit of scriptedness, a little bit of build up and storyline. You know what I mean? It's selling moves. It's a full performance. People want to compare it to watching a reality show on TV. Not even close. Crossroads. See you later. Now, it would have been really cool if he would have did the Crossroads and then lifted him up and then RKO and then it ended that way, but I'll take it. So what are we gonna grade? This was obviously like an 11, but what would we grade the pay-per-view overall? One match that didn't live up to the expectations, and then all the rest did. So what are we saying of the pay-per-view overall, besides one 7.5 match, that overall this is a 9.5 pay-per-view? 9.5? Because I feel like with the women's and the men's, I mean, just those two alone, being 10 or 11s, it's leaning more towards not a 10 overall pay-per-view. Now, if that Gunther match was an 8 or better, then maybe we could say, oh, CM Punk? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You got to be shitting me. It isn't Chicago. Is he really there? No way. No way. No way. Motherfucker is there. Get the fuck out of here. They must be really desperate for the ratings. Okay, now it's a 10. Now it's a 10. I don't give a shit that the Gunther was a 7.5. You already had an 11, and then you have CM Punk with a fresh cut. Wow. I mean, they must be, since Vince is gone, right? They must have been like, well, we know we can make money, and we want to go one step above AEW. Let's just hope that he doesn't fuck up the chemistry in the locker room. Wow. Get the fuck out of here. You got to be shitting me. Wow. I mean, I don't normally call a pay-per-view a 10, but the men's and the women's, wow. Wow. Odin's son, everyone's messaging me right now. Unbelievable. You know what I mean? And like, obviously he burnt his bridge in AEW, right? So this is like your last chance. Like they're not doing it because you're CM Punk. They're doing it because they know they can make money off of you and they can make money off your merch, right? And bring ratings. I mean, that's the reason that he doesn't have to talk, he doesn't have to wrestle, but you brought him in, for merch, right? And the popularity to go one up on AEW. Wow. Odin in the building. What's good? So you wanted more out of that Dragon Lee match. I wanted more out of the Gunther match and Miz. I thought the Dragon Lee match was actually pretty good. Just like with, I think all the matches that we rated. So we started off here, and I appreciate your support. So we started off here. This was a 10, right? And then we go here. I would go 7.5, a little underwhelming. Here, I would have done a 9. And then here, I would have done a 9. And then this was a 10, but then you added Randy Orton to the mix and CM Punk. This is an 11. So overall, I would say the pay-per-view is a 9.5. I'm not sure. Like, the only thing that it could have made it a 10 is if that Gunther Miz match would have been a 9, and then we would have said this is a 10 pay-per-view overall. but you had one match that underdelivered, in my opinion. I know the Odin wanted the Dragon Lee match to be probably a little bit longer, but I felt that that match was good. It was just a little shorter than I expected, but the only match that I thought that really, honestly, that could have been better, that underwhelmed, was the Gunther and the Miz. That one I would rate a 7.5. But overall, I'm giving this a 9.5. This might be the highest rated pay-per-view we've had in a minute, considering the amount of matches that we had and the surprises at the end. Unbelievable. Great show. I guess if you're a hater and you don't like CM Punk or Randy Orton, then you can say 9. But I think most people in the wrestling world, may not say 10 overall, but 9.5, definitely, for sure. Well, I assume if you're on WWE, if you're there, it's not a one-time thing. You're not in AEW anymore, so I would assume that he will be wrestling for the company. I know the pay-per-view is in Chicago and whatnot, but wow, I did not expect that. I figured that it would just be, and I know he lives in Chicago, so it's not like he had to go anywhere, and it made sense, but they're not going to just pay him for a one-time thing. I assume that he will be wrestling for the company. And this is the last chance for CM Punk to get along with the people in the back. And as long as he can get involved with the people in the back, but how long before he gets mad that he's not the spotlight? How long before he doesn't have a title match that he starts causing problems in the back? Because that's kind of how it goes. He'll be civil and he'll be good, like his first year with AEW. And then when the spotlight is not on him, then he starts acting up like a child, like a toddler. So maybe we have 1 year of CM Punk before he acts up, and then he might be banned for life at that point. But then once he's banned for life from WWE, does AEW give him another shot once he burns his bridges here? Tough to say. It's all about ratings, right? Merch sales. And everyone knows CM Punk can sell shirts, right? People listen. He may not be the wrestler that he was, but he moves the needle. He moves the needle for people tuning in, whether you love him or you hate him. Kind of like the Dallas Cowboys. You're tuning in to either root for him to do good or you're tuning in for him to fail. Awesome. Wow. Awesome. And we might be able to have some dream match scenarios that we maybe never thought we were going to have. Punk and Seth could be pretty sweet. Wow. Fucking A, dude. I don't even know what to say right now. No, I'm normally not speechless.
You are not related. There's no ancestry connecting it. But look how similar you are. You work.
I mean, for a lower name pay-per-view too, even though I know it's Survivor Series, but I mean, Survivor Series was bigger, back in the day, but wow. I mean, fucking A, man. I don't even know what to say right now. I really, I'm a little speechless a little bit right now. Like, it was cool enough, and then they had to sprinkle in that last. Now, if CM Punk would have got in the ring and then it would have had a little, fisticuffs or this or that, but I mean, just the simple fact that he was there. Wow.
Seriously good sex and 50% more fresh. Now that's love at first sniff.
Since the dawn of man, getting help has been hard. Whether it's for ED, hair loss, or your mental health. Getting help is simple. It all starts with one small click through you. And you. Yeah, you. That can change everything. That's healthcare. That's
Unbelievable, man.
Look now.
Randy Orton, I see you. Remember this one? CM Punk? Way back in the day with Brock Lesnar. SummerSlam. Some of y'all remember. Bloody Dog. Yeah, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble. Sometimes Royal Rumble is even higher than SummerSlam. Hell, sometimes Royal Rumble is even higher than WrestleMania. Sometimes Royal Rumble is like the most entertaining, but WrestleMania, I would probably go WrestleMania and then normally Royal Rumble too. and then SummerSlam, and then you could say Survivor Series, but sometimes even Money in the Bank is better than Survivor Series. Or Elimination Chamber sometimes has a little bit of gusto to it as well. It all depends on personal preference. I mean, normally the pecking order back in the day was WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series. True. But I think as of late, in the last like 10 years, I think Royal Rumble has surpassed SummerSlam half of the time. Sometimes SummerSlam is better. Sometimes Royal Rumble is better, depending on who comes in with the matches. But I think we can agree Survivor Series is normally fourth or fifth. But also you've had other things like Money in the Bank and a few others that have been close to Survivor Series. But yeah, I agree. Crazy, man. This is what it is, huh? We get some Randy Orton. We get some CM Punk. An amazing match with the War Games. Men's, an 11. Women's, a 10. Gunther, Miz, 7.5. Dragon Lee and Santos Escobar, somewhere between an 8 and a 9. Ripley and Zoe, 8 to a 9. And then the surprises were obviously, we already knew Randy was going to show up, but to see him full strength, doing the slams and the moves, it was great to not see him like a shadow of himself or a shell of himself. He was exactly where we remember him. Thank God, because that's awesome for wrestling. And then the little cherry on top, the CM Punk at the end of the show. Unbelievable. But again, if Vince was still running WWE, do you think CM Punk shows up? And the answer is hell no, not happening. But since Vince is no longer in control, I think they said, we're going to go for ratings. And they've always done that, right? That's why they brought in Bad Bunny. That's why they brought in Pat McAfee. That's why they brought in, Logan Paul. Sometimes it's like, do you have morals? Do you have standards? Or is it about selling merch and being popular? And sometimes you got to sell your soul to the devil. And I guess some of them, might have sold their souls to a certain degree for more money. But I'll be honest, it's cool to be able to see CM Punk at least on TV, whether you love him or you hate him. So, yeah. But if Vince was running it, you were not seeing CM Punk. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Based on that relationship and what happened, there is no way. And we would probably be seeing Seth Rollins versus Omos in the main event, And so thank God, that we have a little bit of change. But this has got to be his last chance. Because again, if CM Punk fucks this up, we may never see him in wrestling ever again. And again, it's not because they think he's an amazing wrestler. They want to take advantage of his popularity and make money, sell merch, and move the needle. So what, maybe CM Punk thinks it's because of his skill set, but hell, I imagine that he'll be grateful that he's there. So. Yeah, me too. Me too. But, for, this pay-per-view being lower, Survivor Series War Games, like even though it used to be a more popular back in the day when I was a kid. Wow. Fucking CM Punk, you kidding me? Just fucking rocking the white tee. I like the haircut though. He doesn't have the buzz cut. He looks like he can go out there and scrap and whatnot. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of wrestling gear he wears when he comes back. Is he going to go back to his original look, or is it going to be a little bit different because he's gained a little bit of weight, and he doesn't really have the upper body frame like maybe he did back in the day? But you have to understand, whether you love him or hate him, this is his hometown. So, even the haters are cheering for him. Yeah, well, Vince wanted WWE in his own vision, right? Triple H wants to, be popular, move the needle, make money, and anything that they can get one step above AEW, they're going to do it, right? And I know some people hate CM Punk. I get it. Some people love him, some people hate him, but pretty cool. And I wonder if the wrestlers that are in the ring actually knew that this was going to happen, or if they're surprised genuinely as well, because I would assume that they would have kept this a secret from everyone besides the people that are running the show to make it like a real surprise, I highly doubt anyone knew that he was coming besides Triple H, Stephanie, and Khan and the people that are in the back. Wow, unbelievable. Lots of people do. Exactly, Lenny. You got it. Fuck, man. That was cool. Well, I love you guys and I appreciate you guys so much. For the people that showed up and hung out, you guys are the best. For the people that missed out and then they checked the fucking Twitter feed, X feed, the Instagram and the Facebook, they're going to be like, shit, I should have came in and watched it with the homies. But you guys are awesome. I love you and I appreciate you guys very, very, very much. And wow. Well, we'll be talking about this one for a while. And I'll be back tomorrow, obviously doing reaction videos, and we will also do the Chargers and the Ravens. We'll end up doing that. But thank you to everyone that donated, commented, shared. Shout out to Odin's son for yesterday and today. And shout out to Mr. Williams. You guys are the best. Shout out to the new subs that we got and the people that commented. You guys are the GOATs. I love you and I appreciate you so much. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Shout out to Lenny and Finley and Sarah and Odin's son and everyone in the room. I love you and I appreciate you, as well as Matt as well. And you guys are awesome. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Have a great night, and I'm out. Gang.